project. Okay, so zones in Revit allows you to use diversities in the analytical model and size equipment appropriately. So in a project, you add zones and assign spaces to them for controlling the spatial environment. So after you assign spaces to zones, so you can modify, move, rename, reassign, schedule, and delete zones and apply a color scheme to them. So zones consist of one or more spaces that are controlled by mechanical equipment, such as RTUs, AHUs, or chill beam to maintain a common environment such as the temperature and humidity. So basically, zones is a collection of one or more spaces. So that is the reason why we created spaces first before we create zones. Okay, because we needed a spaces for zones. Okay, so you use zones to ensure that the load calculations are based on the peak load demand of these zones. So when you place spaces in the building model, they are automatically assigned to a default zone in the system browser. That's why if we are going to check the system browser here, I'm going to right click browser and then I go to the system browser, you can see that we can change this to zones. So if I click the zones, so you can see that there is a default zone here wherein all of the spaces that we have placed is in. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we're going to create our own zone. Okay, so we're not going to place the zone all over the building, but like what we did on our spaces exercise, we're just going to do that only on one portion of our building. Okay, it's not that difficult to create zone, and I'm pretty sure that you will be able to understand it and you'll be able to create a zone easily. Okay, so we need to assign spaces to zones depending on the spaces that a common piece of equipment serves. So let's say for one zone, so there is one equipment that will be controlled that particular zone, something like that. So this enables you to choose the most efficient and cost-effective piece of equipment to enhance the building design. Okay, so let us do this exercise now. So we are going to create zones for this. So in this exercise, we're going to create HVAC zones by assigning existing spaces to the zones, and then we're also going to create spaces to be assigned to a new zone. Okay, so as you notice in this exercise, the spaces have been created on the first floor of a classroom building, and we need to create an HVAC zones for sizing equipment loads for the spaces on this floor. Okay, and then if you're going to check out the level 2 here, the second floor does not have spaces, so we need to create spaces then. And then we're going to assign spaces on all the levels to new HVAC zone. And then finally, we're going to create an HVAC zone to serve the staircase that spans 3 levels from level 1, level 2, and level 3. So basically, we're going to create one zone for level 1 to level 3. Okay, we're going to create an HVAC zone to serve the staircase that spans 3 levels. Okay, so let's get started. So opening the level 1 here, as you can see, we have spaces here. So we do already have existing spaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select zones or zone tool. So just click that one and then just add spaces, and then we just need to click the space. Okay, just click that. Just click that. If you are having a difficulty selecting the space, although it's not difficult, so there's an option wherein you'll be able to show that cross space symbol. Okay, so I'm going to show you that later on. Okay, so after you select the spaces that you want to create for your first zone, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select the properties here, and then I'm going to change the name of that. So I'm just going to call that 1-1. Okay, or you can call that ACU1. So let's say so there's equipment that will control this one zone here. So it's up to you. So I'll just call it 1-1. Right, so after that, I'll just select your finish, and there you go. So if I hover my pointer here, that's the zone. So I click that, so you can actually move that here. And then it's now created here on our system browser. If I expand that, there you go. So there's our spaces on zone 1-1. And then if you check the properties here, so you'll be able to see the occupied area, occupied volume, gross volume, perimeter, and other parameters that you can modify from this HVAC zones. Okay, and then like what I had said earlier, if you want to show that cross symbol of the space, in case you're having a difficulty, you can go to the visibility graphic overrides, then you can go to model categories, look for the spaces, then expand that, and you can check the reference, and then okay, and then you'll now be able to see those spaces. Okay, so in my case, I don't want to see that, so I'm just going to undo it. Okay, now so I'm going to create another zone here for these 4 spaces here. So I'm going to select the zone, and then I'm going to click this space here, this space, this one, and then this one. There you go. So again, it's now added here on our system browser. There you go. Okay, and then let us now select finish editing zone. And you also notice that after we rename 1-1, automatically it renames to 1-2. Okay, so I go to finish editing zone. Now let's go to the second level wherein we don't have a space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to select zone here. So I'm going to select zone, but as you can see, if I select the analyze here, I can still select space. So basically, while you are in the zone tool, you can still create a space. So after you create the space, it will create the zone. Okay, so because we still need to create the space, so I'm just showing you here that while you are in the zone tool, you can still create a space. So I'm going to select the space, and then let's go to the properties, and then I'm on level 2, so I'm going to change the upper limit to level 2 plenum. If you remember last video, we created a level for our plenum. Okay, so the upper limit is level 2 plenum with an offset distance of 0. So from level 2 to level 2 plenum with an offset distance of 0. Okay, and then I'm gonna place just here. Okay, I'm going to place all of that. So I'll just put one here, here, and then here. Okay, there you go. So I created a space, but once I go to the edit zone, it will now also create the zone. So I go here, finish editing zone. There you go. So I created the spaces, and then also I create the zone here. There you go. So let me just call this 2-1, 2-1. All right. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create zone across multiple levels. Okay, so another way of creating a zone, just in case for some reason this when you create the zone, it doesn't detect the boundary of your building, because if I select the space here and then I hover my pointer, notice that it highlights almost all building. Let's say for example, I only want to create a space in this area here. Okay, this area of the stair. I don't want to place the space for the whole building because for some reason there's an error of the boundary. So what I'm going to do is I'll select modify to terminate. There's this tool that is called space separator. So it draws a space separation line to divide the space. Okay, so use separation lines as special model lines that are space bounding. So use them to divide spaces for different heating and cooling requirements. So this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to select space separator using a rectangle here. Select space here. So from this corner to this corner here. And that is what I'm going to do as well for my level 1 So space separator, rectangle. So I'm going to place here. Okay, so I want to divide the space. So level 3, space separator, rectangle shape. Now let's create the boundary. And there you go. So after I place the boundary, I'm now going back again to zone. And then let's go to analyze because we need to create a space as well. So I select the space. Okay, so currently I am on level 3. So I'm going to change the upper limit to level 4. Of course, there's no plenum on the staircase. So from level 3 to level 4 with an offset distance of 0. There you go. So I'm now going to place here. Okay, so let me go to level 2, analyze the space. I'm still on zone tool. Okay, so I'm on level 2. Upper limit is level 3. Offset is 0. Again, it's not level 2 plenum because on the staircase, there's no plenum here. So that's why it's level 2 to level 3 with an offset distance of 0. So I'm going to place here. There you go. And then for level 1, analyze space. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry. So space, and then upper limit is level 2. Offset. No. Oh, yeah. So it's level 2 and then 0. Offset. So level 1 to level 2, offset 0. And then let's place 1 here. There you go. Now let's go to the properties. Let's change the name here. So I will call this northeast staircase. Okay, so that's the zoning. Then apply, and then let's finish this. There you go. So if I click this, so that's the space. Where's the zone? Okay, so there's the zone. I'll just put here. Okay, there you go. So there, I click that. So if I go to the level 2, as you can see, it's highlighted. If I go to level 3, it's highlighted. Okay, because they are just on one zone. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is to finalize this exercise. I'll just go to the HVAC zone section. This one here, and then just like what we did on our creating spaces exercise, I'm also going to add a color fill legend. So I click the color fill legend, and then I'm going to place one here, and then make sure the space type is HVAC zones. So last exercise, we select spaces. So this time around, HVAC zones using schema 1, and then I just select your OK. And there you have it. Okay, so as you can see, that is our 1-1, 1-2, 2-1, and then this whole zone here is our northeast staircase. All right, so that is for our exercise for creating zones. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below. If you want to get the exercise file, you can just put your email there, and then I'll be sending you the exercise. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Building performance analysis. So in Revit MEP, you use an analytical model for building performance analysis. So the analytical model interprets the spaces and zones in the Revit model. So to evaluate the energy loads requirement of the building, so you define the heating and cooling load information for a building model. So after you define the information, so we can use the tools in Revit MEP to perform the heating and cooling loads analysis, which is what we're going to do later on after we discuss the analytical model and some ways to define the spaces and zones properties. Okay, so in Revit MEP, properly defined spaces and zones provide an accurate model to analysis software for conducting a building performance analysis. So understanding the MEP analytical model and how analysis software interprets the model is the key to obtaining the accurate result. So what is this analytical model? An analytical model created in MEP for building performance analysis consists of spaces and their bounding elements. So the relationship between spaces and bounding elements determines how the analysis software interprets the analytical model. All right. So spaces are the base unit of analysis in an analytical model. So properly defined spaces in an MEP model, just like this one, this is our MEP model. Properly defined spaces ensure the correct information and relationships are passed to the analysis software in Revit, and space volumes that needed to be analyzed as having loads beside the loads of adjacent spaces are modeled with an individual space. So for example, a space at the perimeter zone is modeled as the area affected by the solar load of a window opening. Now, let us try to open up our heating and cooling loads for us to be able to see the analytical model. Okay, so from the Analyze tab, let's go to the reports and schedules, and then you will see there heating and cooling loads, or you can type LO. So we're not going to calculate the heating and cooling loads, but we're just going to see how the analytical model looks like, which is this one. So that's why it is really important for you to be able to place the spaces and zones properly and accurate in your model, because just like other software, garbage in is equal to garbage out. So that's why make sure you are specifying the zones correctly. Okay, so this is the analytical model. Now, if I'm going to select the details tab here, so I'm going to click that, so you will be able to explore and observe your building model if you have placed it correctly. Okay, so the process of viewing your analytical model is like this one. So you open the heating and cooling loads, and then after that you can view now your complete analytical model. So what you can do is you can select a particular space or zone to view if you are able to place the space correctly. So that's why if I go to the details here on the spaces, I can see that I have the building model here. So these numbers that you are seeing, these are actually the zones. Okay, and like what I have said on our earlier discussion about defining volumes, a zone is a collection of spaces. So if I'm going to expand, let's say number 1, you can see that you'll be able to see all the spaces on that particular zone. Okay, so you can select a particular space or zone to view your analytical model. Okay, so let us try to do this. So let's say, for example, I'm going to expand, let's say number 5. Okay, so that's number 5. Or let's say I'm going to open number 8. Okay, and then on my number 8, since the space is quite big, So I just considered it as a one zone. Okay, so that's why I have one zone, and then on that one zone I have one space here. So if I click that, I can see here the space type, the construction type, the number of people, electrical load, which is what we're going to discuss later on. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna click this space here under the number 8 zone, and then I can select your highlight for me to be able to see where is that particular space. So if I click that, so I can see that that is my particular space there. Okay, so if you want, what you can do is you can toggle off the highlight, and then you can select, and then you can select the other tool here, which is isolate. So you can isolate that particular model. Okay. So that's how you view your model. So as you can see, it's not that difficult. Okay, so of course you need to use your view cube here for you to be able to see it nicely. Okay, now to discontinue the isolation, so you just need to click again the isolate, and then you will go back again to the view. Now, so let's say for example, I'm going to expand the zone 10, which is our zone 10 here, and then expand that. Okay, so as you can see, I have here a couple of spaces. Now, if I want to highlight that zone, so I just click the zone here, and then I can click the highlight. There you go. Okay, and of course you can still isolate that if you want. Okay, so I'm going to isolate that, and then I'm going to de-highlight it. Okay, so there you go. So if ever a space or portion of the space is not correctly bound, it should be visible when inspecting each zone. That's why it is very important for you to be able to learn how to view your analytical model. So from the details, so you can go here and then you can use these tools so that you will be able to see if some portion of the space there is not correctly bounded. Okay, so it should be visible when you inspecting each zone. Okay, so let's say for example, I'm going to expand 11. Okay, and then I'm going to isolate. I'm going to select that, and then automatically, since isolate here is turned on, so it will isolate now that particular zone. Okay, so the purpose for isolating either zones or spaces is to make it easier to verify that no space has been missed, especially when viewing a large model. Okay, so that's how you view it. Now, the next exercise that we will be doing, okay, so after learning how to view your analytical model, okay, so after learning that, so I'm just going to cancel. I'm going to open another exercise for that, which is defining the heating and cooling loads. I'm going to open that exercise. So after learning how to view the analytical model, so let us now learn how to define the heating and cooling loads of our spaces and zones. Okay, so to start with, okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to specify what type of building is you're working on. So we need to correctly define that. So by the way, don't be confused with these colors here. So I just place here a zone color. This is just a color fill legend, okay, based on HVAC zones. Okay, so that is not our exercise. So our exercise is we're going to specify the heating and cooling loads. So we're going to define the heating and cooling loads for a conference center building. All right, so right after we learn how to view the analytical model, so let us define the heating and cooling loads for a conference building center. Okay, so for example, you have received the building plan for a conference center building, so you now want to define the heating and cooling loads for the spaces and zones of the building. So how to start that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Analyze tab, and then I'm going to select heating and cooling loads here. Okay, so I go back again to the heating and cooling loads. Right, so next is you need to specify what is the building type. Okay, so what is the building type? So let's say I want that to be an office, and then you need to select what is the location. So you can click that ellipsis button there, so you can click, and then you can use the internet mapping service, and then you can type here the value. So let's say, for example, I'm staying in Auckland, New Zealand. Okay, then let's search for it. There it goes. There's the Auckland Island, New Zealand. I'm going to select that. Right, so there's the Auckland, New Zealand. Okay. So anyway, so after you select the location, so you just need to select OK. So that is accurate. So it's based on the internet mapping service. Okay, so aside from that, so we are going to specify the heating and cooling loads parameters of the space. So how to do that? So let us save first the settings. So let us save it. Okay, later on we are going to come back to that window so that we can specify more details about the building. Okay, so but before that, let us start specifying the space heating and cooling loads parameter. So we are not going to select all the spaces and then specify the heating and cooling loads parameters one by one, but because it will take a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select one, and I'm just going to show you how, and then obviously you will know the rest how to do it. Okay, because it's the same way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this cafeteria here. Since I want to specify a proper parameter for this space cafeteria, so I'm going to select that, the space. Make sure you are selecting the space, and then from the properties, so what you can do, you move the slider down, and then you can go to the energy analysis. And then you can specify here what is the space type. Okay, so that's number one. So what is this space for? So as you can see, it's a cafeteria. So I'm going to change that instead of buildings. I'm going to click the ellipsis button. Okay, and then after that, you can see here the list of default space type settings. Okay, so each space type settings here, if I'm going to click one, so let's say the cafeteria, I want this property to be dining area space type settings. So I'm going to select dining area, and then you will notice here that you already have a standard values for that. Of course, you can change that if you want. Okay, so you can change that if you want. Okay, but I'm not going to change that because this is already standard. So if you are a designer, if you have any other values for this energy analysis, so by all means, you can change all of these settings. So what I'm just telling you guys that these space type settings already has a default values that you can use. So these are standard. Okay, so I'm going to select dining area for that because I want that for this cafeteria. Okay, so I'm just showing you that you need to specify the correct space type settings for each spaces that you will be creating in your project. Okay, so that's number one. So I'm just going to select here. Okay, there you go. So I now have the space type for that. Now, another thing that you might consider is the number of people that will be coming over from time to time, or the average number of people that will come into the cafeteria from time to time. So what I'm going to do is, again, from the energy analysis, there is a parameter here that is called people. Okay, so I'm going to select your edit. And then as you can see here, it says here by space types, and then there's the default value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the drop down arrow, and instead I want to specify myself the number of the people. Okay, so I'm going to select specify, and then I can specify here number of people or area per person. So it's up to you. Again, you are the designer, you are the engineer, you should be able to know what is this. So let's say for the number of people, I just want to select this. I just want to put here 50. Okay, so let's say that's the number of people that will be coming here in the cafeteria, an average number. Okay, so 50. Now aside from that, we also need to specify the sensible and latent heat gain per person. So that's why, again, instead of using the default value here, I'm going to select specified. Because if you select specified, you can type in here your sensible heat and latent heat value. Okay, so by the way, what is this? Just a basic knowledge. What is this latent and sensible heat? So latent and sensible heat are types of energy released or absorbed in the atmosphere. So latent heat is related to changes in phase between liquids, gases, and solids, while the sensible heat is related to changes in temperature of a gas or object with no change in phase. Okay, so you can just Google that just in case you want to have more clear definition or understanding about the sensible heat or latent heat. But as a designer, you should know what is this. Okay. Now, so I'm going to change the value of this one. So if you are in metric, so the value should be in watts, but I'm using imperial, so my value is BTU per hour. So let's say for this one, for the sensible heat, I just want a standard value of 230, and then this one is 200. Okay. So 200, and then I'll just select here. Okay, so there you go. So I'm just showing you that you can specify that on the space properties. Okay, so next, one thing that you might consider, another thing that you can consider is you need to specify what is the heating and cooling loads parameters for the zones. Okay, so we are not going to move on the zones. But if you still want more to add properties on the spaces, by all means, again, just go back to the energy analysis. You can just modify these things here. Okay, you can define here, and then you can also define the electrical loads of this particular space. Okay, so you can select edit, and then if you have computation, you can just put it here. Okay, the electrical loads. Since you are the designer, again, you should be able to know what is this. Okay, but in my part, I'm just showing you that you can change the property of your spaces here on the space properties. Okay, so you can explore this space properties window, and then after that, we can now move on to the zone heating and cooling loads parameters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect now the spaces. So let's say, for example, I'm now going to specify the zone. So here we have an airlock, so I'm going to select the zone here, this one, the HVAC zone 3. So make sure you are selecting the zone. So as you can see, I selected the zone here. So there's the zone, HVAC zone. So the name is 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change here the service type. Okay, so what is the service type of this zone? Again, go to the properties. This is the zone HVAC properties. So there's the service type. So you can click that drop down arrow, and then you can select a variety of service types ready for you to use prepared by Revit. Okay, which is really cool. So let's say I want that airlock to be split system. So I'm going to type split system with, let's say, mechanical ventilation. Okay, so I'm going to select mechanical ventilation for that. Okay, and then if you have more details added to this airlock, so you can go to the cooling information, you can specify that, you can go to heating information, and then you can also specify the outdoor air information. Okay, so that's it. So you just need to select the zone, and then you go to the properties here for you to be able to add more parameters or values to that particular zone. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do after specifying the zone heating and cooling loads parameter, I'm going to open the level 2 plenum plan. Okay, so level 2 plenum zone plan, this one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this, and then I'm going to select your filter. Okay, I only want to select there the spaces. So I'm going to check none, and then I'm going to select spaces. Okay, so I only want to select the space, and then after that, I'm going to hold the shift. I do not want to include the stairs to my selections. I'm going to hold the shift to deselect the spaces on the stairs. So hold the shift. I'm going to deselect that space from the selection. I'm going to hold the shift. I'm going to deselect that space from the selection. Why? Because this is just a plenum plan, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the correct condition type for this floor here. So I'm going to move the slider down, and then I'm going to specify the condition type here. So I'm showing that you can specify the condition type of a certain space here. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to select this unconditioned. Okay, unconditioned because this is just a plenum. Okay, you don't want to condition the plenum space. So that's the reason why I select all of this space that we have on our plenum plan and deselect the stairs because the stairs should be conditioned. But this plenum plan should be under the unconditioned type, right? So we're not going to condition that. So that's another option to properly specify the correct parameters on your analytical model. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to specify parameters in heating and cooling loads dialog box. So let us go back again to the heating and cooling loads. And then I'm going to open the details, and then let me go to the zone 36. I'm going to expand this. Okay, so there's my 36. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click 36 zone, and then I'm going to select all the spaces in this zone, right? So after that, you can now specify, or let's say you want to see where's this particular spaces, so you can just isolate that. Oh, okay, so that's a stair, okay? So I want to specify the correct space type for that. So I'm going to select the ellipsis button, and then I'm going to look for, get it right, so it's stairway. So I want to properly specify what is that space type, stairway, okay? And then I'm going to select okay. There you go. Okay, so by selecting all the spaces in the zone, so you can quickly assign all the selected spaces to our stairway space type. So space types have pre-assigned settings, just like what I have said to you earlier. So these are the pre-assigned settings that are used for calculating heating and cooling loads. Okay, and then again, don't forget to save the settings. Okay, so on your part as a designer, so make sure you specify the space and zone heating and cooling loads parameters on all the spaces and zones in your project. Okay, right? The only thing The only reason that I just specified one spaces and one zone in this exercise because it will really take a lot of time if I'm going to specify each spaces and zones in this project. Okay, but at least you already get the idea. Now let us move on to the last part of the building performance analysis, which is calculating the heating and cooling loads. So I'm going to open the exercise for that, for the calculating heating and cooling loads. There you go. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to calculate heating and cooling loads because calculation of heating and cooling loads on a building model is an important step in determining the size of cooling and heating equipment. So properly sized cooling and heating equipment saves the initial and operational costs of the equipment. So in addition, it provides increased comfort to occupants by maintaining the required temperature in the building. So that's why calculating heating cooling loads is very important to our design. Okay, so let's do this. So after learning how to view the analytical model, how to specify the space and zones, heating and cooling loads parameters. Okay, so let us now go to the heating and cooling loads. Okay, and then let us do the calculation. So before we click calculate, so let us just change some property. Again, this is an office. Okay, so let's say I want to change that location. I want Auckland, New Zealand for that. Search. There you go. And then there's my location. Okay, so it's Auckland, New Zealand. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to specify what is the building service. Okay, so I want this to be, instead of active chilled beam, so I want this to be water loop heat pump. Okay, so you select the building service to specify the type of equipment that will be used to heat and cool the building. Okay, so aside from that, you can also specify here the schematic types of the building. So you can click the ellipsis button here, okay, to control the solar radiation entering the building. So I'm going to check the exterior windows here. So I want that to be this value. Okay, so using this exterior windows option, so you can perform multiple calculations with different building construction types to determine how these building types affect the heating and cooling loads. Okay, so this is my favorite. I'll just check that one. So that's the value. Okay, and then I'll just select OK here. If you are using a lower version of Revit, so instead of schematic type, this is building construction. So you look for building construction here. Okay, so they changed that to schematic types. All right, so let us just select here. Okay. Now another thing that you might consider here, or another parameter that you might consider, is the building infiltration class. Okay, so instead of none, so I'm going to select here. Oops, sorry. Building infiltration class. So you click the drop down arrow. So I'm going to select here medium. So what is this building infiltration class for? So we use this to specify an estimate of outdoor air that enters the building through leaks in the building and below. So I just selected here medium. Okay, so aside from that, you can specify what is the report type. Okay, to define the level of detail reported based on the heating and cooling loads calculation. And then you can also specify here what else? Project pace. Okay, the project pace to ensure that the Revit analyzes the correct model if pacing is used. Okay, so you can select from here new construction, existing, or other project paces. Okay, and then I'm not going to change the ground plane here. Okay, I'm not going to use this. I don't need this to define this parameter unless you plan to export the information about the level to be used for the ground plane also to the GB XML file. Okay, so what else? Sliver space tolerance. So for the sliver space tolerance, I'm going to change this to 1 foot 6 inches. Okay, so by defining the sliver space tolerance, any bound space that is 1 foot 6 inches or 450 mm or smaller will automatically be included in the volume calculation. All right. Okay, now and another thing that you might consider is you can review the details here of your spaces and zones after you specify the general. So let's say, for example, I'm going to expand one here, that's the zone one, and then I'm going to look for MEP. So I select the MEP here. This is space MEP again. You can just highlight it, so that's the one. You can isolate it, so that's the one. So make sure the space type is correct. So like that is electrical mechanical space type. So I'm just saying that after you specify the general, you can still go to your details here, and then after that you can modify that zone type or space type here. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to select calculate to begin the heating and cooling loads calculation. So this process will take several minutes, depending on your computer, or just a few seconds. Okay. So after the calculation, the reports will be displayed on your project browser under the reports. So let us just wait for that, and then let us investigate. There you go. I think it's already finished. So there's now your report. Beautiful. So that's the report of your project. So here you can see the project, the address, calculation time, report time, latitude, longitude, all the necessary calculation parameters or properties that you needed for your building. Okay, so there's your building summary. So that's the office, that's the area, so that's the volume. Here you can see all the calculation here, the airflow, the maximum cooling capacity. All right. So you can go from here. You can check it also by spaces and zones. So aside from the summary, as you can see, there's the spaces and then there's the zone. So let's say, for example, I want to look for zone. So what zone am I looking for? So let's say space summary for 19, 20, let's say 22. This one. So office for the 22 spaces. So that's the 214 rooms. As you can see, there's the area, there's the volume, peak cooling load, cooling airflow, okay, which is 3,326, the peak heating load and heating airflow. So you can also click that for you to be able to see the more details about that particular room, the room 214. So as you can see, these are the calculation based on the parameters that you specified. As you can see, number of people, 5, sensible heat gain 250, latent heat gain 200, etc., etc. Infiltration airflow 33 CFM. Okay, so it's really nice to have this kind of report, and it's really useful for the designer. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to open the project browser and then open up the level 2 HVAC zone plan. So I'm going to open this, and then let's see that one. So this is that particular room that I'm talking about a while ago. So this space here, okay, space 214. Okay, so this is the one. So if I select this, oh, that's a room. This one, so that's the space. So if I click that one, check the properties. As you can see here, this is the calculated supply, right? So the actual supply airflow is 0 here, okay, because there are no mechanical systems created yet in this particular room. That's why it's 0. But as you can see, there's already the calculated supply airflow. You already have an idea what's going to be your basis. Okay, so the calculated supply airflow. Okay, so another thing that you can do is after you create the heating and cooling loads, or after you calculate it, you can check it from here, from the project browser. You can see the reports. There you go. So there's that report. So you can just rename that if you want. Okay, so you can rename that if you want. And aside from that, what you can do is you can put here a color based on the calculated supply airflow. So how to do that? So from the Analyze tab, I'm going to select Color Fill Legend. So I click that one, and then I'm going to place it here just beside, and then make sure the space type here is HVAC zones. So I want the color scheme will be based on the HVAC zone. And okay, so by default, I can only select your cooling load by zones. That's okay. I can change that later on. So select okay. There you go. So let's click this because it's too long. Oops. How about 3 column? There you go. There you go. Now, I don't want this to be based on by zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. By the way, I'm going to select this, go to the properties, go to the type properties. I want to show the title, okay? So I want to show the title, and then okay. So I want to see the title there, right? And then I'm going to select again. There's the edit scheme. So I want to change that color. So instead of cooling load by zone, I want to change that based on calculated supply airflow. So calculated supply airflow, okay. So I'll change this to calculated supply airflow. Okay, apply, and then okay. There you go. So it's now based on the airflow. It's beautiful, right? So this is really necessary on your design. So you can click that, and then you can just move this like this, just to tidy up your legend. There you go. There you go. So if you want to have this exercise file, so you can just comment on the comment section below. You can just put your email address, and then I'll be sending you the exercise file. So hopefully you learned something from this video. We have learned how to do the building analysis of our model. Okay, building performance analysis. Wherein we have learned how to specify the analytical model, how to view it, how to isolate, how to highlight it, and then we have learned how to define the heating and cooling loads parameters for the spaces and zones, and then finally we have learned how to calculate or how to use Revit to calculate the heating and cooling loads analysis. All right, so thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. System. So in this exercise, we'll be creating an HVAC system by placing air terminals and equipment in our building model. Of course, I'm not going to place an air terminals to the whole building and equipment in the whole building. So I'm just going to put it on one area, and hopefully you'll be getting the idea. So you'll be able to do it by your own self. Okay, so as a mechanical designer, so you begin your HVAC design by placing air terminals and equipment. Okay, so this is after you create spaces and zones and run the heating and cooling loads calculation. And then you then need to coordinate the actual airflow with the design airflow to ensure that the design meets the required amount of airflow. So you use schedule to review the flow information. So finally, you create a supply and return air system and use the system browser to check whether all components are assigned to the system. So we are going to do the following. So we're going to place air terminal, we're going to place, we're going to place supply and return air terminals, and then we're going to assign and review airflow information, and then we will be placing as well mechanical equipment, and then I'm going to teach you how to create a supply and return air system without the actual creating of ducts. Okay? All right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the Systems tab. So I'm just going to zoom into this area here. So I'm going to put it here to this area. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Systems tab. And then after that, there's the HVAC panel. Okay, again, to those of you who want to have these exercise files, all you have to do is to put a comment on the comment section below and put your email address, and then I'll be sending you the exercise file, all right? Okay, so from the Systems tab, I'm going to go ahead and select Air Terminal. So I'm going to select this one. Okay, and then from the Type Selector, you can select the type that you want here. So since I'm going to put the supply diffuser, I'm going to select, let's say, 24 by 24 dust 10 neck. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. And then after that, so we are now going to place it. So you can just place it first without an exact distance. So just pick. Okay, and then after that, just select your modify. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the height of my air terminal, because by default is the height of this is 0, right? Okay, so it's 0. So anyway, just in case you do not want to do this, there's another way by selecting air terminal and then specifying there the elevation. So you can just specify, and then after that you can now place the air terminal. But just in case you forgot to change the elevation, so it's alright, you just need to select the air terminal and then change the offset. Okay, so let's click that offset from host, and then let's change that to 2400. So that's going to be the height. As you can see, automatically elevation from level changes as well to 2400. Oh, sorry, that's too high. So it's, if you're using millimeters, so you just type 2400 millimeters. But I'm using feet, so just make it, let's say 8 feet. 8, enter. So just 8 feet will do. There you go. And then I'll just click outside. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select the reflected ceiling plan, the ceiling plan view. So I go to the project browser. I'm on level 2 HVAC plan, so I'm going to open the level 2 HVAC ceiling plan. So just double click that, and then there's our air terminal. So we will be aligning our air terminal to our ceiling. So there's a couple of ways to do that. So you can use the move tool, or you can use align command. So let's say I'm going to use the align command. So I'm going to select align, and then let's say I'm going to align to this area here. So I click that, and then I'm going to select the top of the air terminal. There you go. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to select, let's say this side here. Click. Okay, and then this one here. There you go. So for example, this is where I want to place my air terminal. So after that, I'm going to select here modify. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. So let's copy. So I'm going to select the air terminal, and then you copy it. By the way, if you are not going to change the offset of your air terminal and leave it into a 0 offset, you will not be able to see that in the ceiling plan view. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and change the offset. So I select that and then change the offset. So let's say I forgot to change the offset from host. Okay, so what will happen is you will not be able to see that in your ceiling plan. Okay, because it's the elevation is 0. So that's why I have changed that to 8 feet so that we can see that on our ceiling plan. Okay, so now I'm going to copy this, select, copy, and then I'm going to copy it multiple times. I select that one, click the paste point, and then we're now ready to copy. So let's say I'm going to copy it here. Okay, I'm going to copy another one here. There you go. And then I'm going to copy another one here. There you go. All right. So I'm going to copy another one, let's say here. There you go. And then I'm going to copy another one here. Okay. And then another one here. All right. And then I just select modify. Of course, you can just put all the air terminals in the whole building, but I'm not going to do that. It will take a lot of time. You get the idea. All right. So after I place all the air terminals, the supply air terminals, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to place a return air terminal. Okay. So to do that, I'll just go back again to level 2 HVAC plan, and then I select again the air terminal. So let's activate the air terminal tool, change from the type selector, and then look for the return diffuser. So let's look for the return diffuser. So I select this one. Okay. Now, so there's an option here, tag on placement. So if I'm going to toggle this on, so automatically as I place the air terminal, the tag will be placed as well automatically. Okay, so I'm going to place it here. Oh, before I place it, so let me just change the offset from host. So I change that to 8 feet, 8, enter. Okay, and then I'm just going to place it here, and then just select modify. Okay, so now let me go back to level 2 HVAC ceiling plan. Okay, and then let us align that as well to our ceiling. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to use align. The shortcut for align is AL. So that's the shortcut for that. So I'm going to align it here, this one, and then after that, so maybe to this line and then here. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then modify, and then I'm going to copy this, select, copy. So let's place another return air terminal. Let's say, for example, to this side here. There you go. Okay, and then after that, just select modify. Okay, so we now have a couple of return air terminal. Now, the next thing that we are going to do, let us try to assign and review airflow information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the level 2 HVAC plan again, and then I'm going to select the 4 supply air terminals in our staff room here. These 4 air terminals. I'm going to select these 4 air terminals. Okay, and then I'm going to change the flow here. Okay, so we can change the flow here. So by default, the flow for each of the air terminal is 500 CFM. So I'm going to change that to 140 CFM or 160 liters per second in metric if you're using metric. Okay, so that's for this room. Okay, now for the staff 201A, I'm going to select these air terminals here. Just don't forget to hold control. So you pick one air terminal. Okay, pick one and then hold control, then click the other one. Okay, so I'm going to change that to, let's say, 280. So 280 CFM. And then here on my copy, okay, I can just move this room name. Okay, then select. Let's change this to 125. There you go, 125 CFM. Okay. All right, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open the airflow schedule. So let's go to the project browser. And then in this exercise, I already created a schedule for the room airflow. Okay, so I'm going to double click that to open it. Okay, there you go. And then after that, let us review the schedule. So notice that all the rooms that do not have any air terminals placed do not meet the calculated supply airflow, and the CFM per square feet fields appear in this model as this one. Okay, see, it's 0. Okay, so indicating that the design requirements are not met. Okay, so these are the rooms wherein we didn't place any air terminals. Okay, right, so as you can see, it didn't meet the requirement here. Okay, so in our schedule. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is I'm going to place a mechanical equipment. Okay, so don't worry, I'm going to teach you how to create a schedule so that you can create your own room airflow schedule. Okay, so we have a topic for that. So I'm just showing you here that all the rooms that do not have any air terminals placed do not meet the calculated supply airflow, and as you can see here, it's the value is 0. Okay, so indicating that the design requirements are not met. Okay, so like for example on our libraries, as you can see there, it's 0. Well, anyway, I'm going to open the level 2 HVAC plan again. So let's open that one, and then let us place mechanical equipment. Okay, so that's the workflow. You place the mechanical, you place an air terminals, and then after that you apply the CFM based on your computation, and then after that you place the mechanical equipment. Okay, so for the mechanical equipment, so let's go to the systems tab. Okay, let's go to the properties first, and then there's the mechanical equipment. So let's select that one, and then I will be using this default family, the parallel fan powered valve, size 4 to 10 inch inlet. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to place it here. So while you are still holding the air terminal, or I mean the equipment, you can actually press the space bar to rotate the valve unit. So I'm going to press it twice, the space bar, 1, 2. Okay, so you can press that twice, and then you can now place it. Let's say I'm going to place it somewhere here. There you go. And then I'm going to select modify to terminate the tool. Okay, now the next thing that we are going to do is, of course, just like on our air terminal, so we need to specify here the offset. So I'm going to select this one, and then after that, let's go to the offset from the properties, offset from host. Let's click that, and then let's type in 10 feet. There you go. So it's 10 feet, and then I'll just select here, modify. Okay. All right, so like what I said earlier, I'm going to teach you how to create a supply and return air system without actually creating ducting and connecting each air terminals and mechanical equipment. So how to do that? Because that is one way of creating system. So you just need to create a duct from the connector of our air terminals and then connect it to your mechanical equipment. Now, there's another way to create a supply and return air system. But before that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and then from the browsers here, I'm going to select the system browser. Okay, the system browser is very useful. So what is this system browser? So our system browser Okay, it helps you find and assign components in a system. So as you can see here on our system browser, it displays a hierarchical list of all components in each discipline in a project, either by systems, that one, or by zones, or by analytical systems. Okay, but in our case, we're using systems here, so because we are trying to check out what are the components that is not yet part of the system. So as you can see here, we have 144, 44 items that is unassigned. And then we have a couple of piping system here, 117 system for electrical, and one system for mechanical. Okay, so if you're going to expand that, so you can see here, like for example, so we have this air terminal. So this one is not yet assigned to a system. So if I'm going to select this, it should be highlighted here on our unassigned. You see, mechanical here highlighted. So if I'm going to expand that, oops, let's select again. There you go. So it's on the supply air. You expand that again. So you can see that on the system browser, you'll be able to locate or you'll be able to check out what are the items that is not assigned to a system. Okay, so we need to assign these components to the system for us to be able to create a proper HVAC system. So that's the reason why we are using system browser. Okay, right now, so next, let's create now our system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the air terminals. Okay, so I'm going to select one of the air terminal. So I'm going to select one of the supply, and then after that, again, you will be able to see it here. It highlights it's under unassigned. So if you're going to look here at the modify air terminal, so there is a panel here, create systems. So this is how you create a system. So select the air terminal, look for the create systems, and then select that. Select duct. Okay, so just click that one, and then you will be able to create now a supply system. So the system type here, it depends on the connector or the type of the air terminal that you are selecting. Since this is a supply air, you can check the system classification here. You can see the system type here is supply air. So that is the system that you will be creating. If you selected a return air terminal, so you will see here return air. All right, now automatically it tells us that it's supply air. Okay, you can change the system here if you want. Okay, but for this exercise, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to select open in system editor. So I'm going to check this one. The reason why is that after I select this, we want also the other air terminals to assign to our system. Okay, so that's why I'm going to open the system editor here. When I select OK, it will open the system editor. So for us to be able to add the other air terminals to the system. So make sure add to system is selected, and then let us now select all the air terminals that we want to add to our system. Okay, that's it. Okay, so we now have 7. Okay, so look what will happen here on our system browser after we assign these air terminals to the system. So look what will happen. So the next thing that I'm going to do is after you select these air terminals and add to the system, we're now going to select equipment. So let's select this one. Okay, and then we select the equipment here. Click that. There you go. And then let's finish editing system. That's it. There you go. So as you can see, if you notice your system browser, all the supply air terminal here disappears. Why? Because it went now to our mechanical system. As you can see, we now have here 2 systems. So if I expand that, supply air, so this is the one that we have. Okay, so this is the system that I'm talking about that we just created. And then these are now all the diffusers on that. So as you can see, it's highlighting on our model. Okay, you can actually right click here and then you can delete that if you want, or you can select, you can show, and then you can check the property. Okay, anyway, that's how you create a system. So if I'm now going to select one of the air terminal here, you can now see that we now have a system here. So we now have a supply air, and then there's the system name. Okay, so there's the system name there. So there's the system name, and then if I click that, it highlights all the air terminals and then the equipment on that particular system. Okay, so let's create another system, which is a return system. So same procedure. I'm going to select one of the return air terminal, and then let's select duct, create system. And then again, you can specify a system name here if you want, but I'm going to check open in system browser. Okay, let's say for example, you forgot to check open in system editor box, and then you select OK. Okay, the problem now is you only have this part of the system. Okay, now let's say I want this to be added, and then I want this to return air terminal to be part of the, or to be supplied by this equipment here. So how am I going to add that? It's simple. Just select again the air terminal that is already part of the system, and then you look for the dock systems, and then you select your edit system. So that's how you do it. So edit system. So you will now be able to add that air terminal to the system, and then select the equipment that you want to be added. There you go. There you go. And then you just finish editing system. So as you can see, you now have another system here. So it now becomes 3. So you now have return air. So expand that. That's the one. That's the one. Okay. So without connecting these air terminals to the equipment, so you are able to create a system for that. Okay, so that's how you create a system. On our next exercise, I'm going to show you how to generate HVAC system layout. All right, so hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. System, you add system components to it and use automatic layout tools to review the possible routing solutions. So, okay, so most of the time, automatic layout tools is used at the earlier stage of our design, like for example, development design, wherein you do not need to show the complete model, and then if you want to make it a little bit quickly, you can use the automatic layout tools. Okay, so that is how we use that in our company. So automatic layout tools provide multiple layout solutions such as network, perimeter, and intersection. So you will be able to see that later on. So these layout solutions, which you can explore using the previous solution and then next solution options on the options bar. So I'm going to show you that later on. So if you do not find the required set of connections, you can manually modify layout solutions. Okay, so which is most of the time happens. So after you generate the automatic layout, you can still modify it manually. Okay, so a layout is a representation of the physical connection between the HVAC system components. So for example, you create duct layouts to connect air system components. So Revit provides tools to lay out ductwork solutions automatically when components are added to HVAC system. All right, so let's get started. So as you can see here in this model, so there's already a layout being done in this model except for this area here. Okay, so let's try to generate layout in this area. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here. So this is where we are going to generate our layout. Okay, so let's get started. So let's say, for example, as a mechanical engineer or mechanical designer, so you need to lay out the ductwork for an air supply system. Okay, so to speed up the process for laying out the air system, so we are going to use the automatic layout routing tool and find a solution for laying out a duct system. So in addition, we also need to examine possible solutions and verify the settings for both the main segment and branches of the air system. And then after that, I'm going to show you how to size and inspect the air system. All right, so let's get started. So after we zoom in to this area here, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to click one of the air terminals. I'm going to click that. Okay, so once you click that, okay, so you just need to check out the modified air terminals tab. So from the layout panel, you will now see here, generate layout. So it offers different layout solution for adding selected equipment and fixtures to HVAC and piping system. So that is the tool that we will be using. Okay, so I'm going to select that, generate layout. Just click that one. And then straight away, Revit will show you the default layout that it suggests. So as you can see here from the options bar, so there is the solution type. So we have here network, so we have perimeter, and then we also have intersection. Okay, so what is this network? Okay, so as you can see network here. So network provides up to 6 solutions, each consisting of a main segment. The main segment is the blue one. The branch segment is the green one. Okay, so each consisting of a main segment with branches at 90 degrees from the main segment. So network is the default selection and is most likely to be used in most cases. Now, another solution type here. So by the way, you can click this next solution here and then the previous solution button. Okay, if you want to see the other 5 or the other 4 solution that it suggests. Okay, so you can click that. Okay, now the other option here or other solution type is perimeter. So the perimeter provides 5 solutions that wrap the main segment around the perimeter of the component. So as you can see, it's around the perimeter of the component. So I don't like this layout. Okay. Now the other solution type here is intersection. Okay, the intersection provides up to 8 solutions, each consisting of a main segment routed over the connectors of the components. So each solution consists of branches. Again, the branches is the green, extending perpendicular from the main segment down to the components. Okay, so in my case here, I only have 2 solutions here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the network. And then I think 1 of 5 solution is just fine to me. Now there's another option here which is settings. So if you click this one, so you can specify settings for main and branch ductworks using the duct conversion settings dialog box, which is this one. So for both main and branch ductworks, you can specify duct type, just like that. You can click what is the duct type that you want to be used when you generate the layout. And then you can also specify the offset values from the finished floor. So for the branch ductwork, so you can also specify the flex duct type and the maximum flex duct length value. So you reach these default values from the main and branch definitions in the mechanical settings dialog box. So if you remember, we have a discussion on how to set up our project. We explore the mechanical settings and then the electrical settings. So these settings that we have here, you can modify this to the mechanical settings dialog box. Okay, so just a review. So in case you already forgot that one. Anyway, so I'm going to use here 1 of 5. So this is the one that I would like to use. And then after that, again, if you want to modify the settings, just click that. So the main duct that I will be creating is this type here. And then the offset is 10 feet. And then the branch is this. Offset is this. Flex duct type. And then the maximum flex duct length. Okay, now I'm going to cancel this one. The settings is all good for me. And then after that, I'm now going to select finish layout. Just like that. It's very quick. Finish layout. And there you go. All right, so you get this warning here. It says that this element has an open connection. This may not be an error, but for flow calculation to work correctly, all connections should be sealed with an end cap. So you can put an end cap to this portion here. So you can click that, and then you can cap open ends. Okay, just like that. And then just like what I've said, if the routing solution or if the layout that you just created is not enough, you can actually do modification to this one, which is the next topic that we're going to discuss after this. Okay, just for now, we have learned how to generate our layout. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to automatically duct size your layout. Okay, so to do that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover my pointer to the duct, and then I'm going to press tab, and then tab again. So as you can see, it now highlights the duct network. Okay, and then I'm going to click that. So once you click, you will now have an option here. So from the analysis panel, so there's an option here, duct or pipe sizing. Okay, so this is how you automatically letting Revit do the sizing for your duct. Okay, so I'm going to select the duct piping system. Just click that one, and then it will now open the duct sizing dialog box. So you can select a dynamic sizing method for the ductwork of the air systems in a project. So from here, you can select the sizing method, friction, velocity, equal friction, static regain. Okay, so you can select the sizing method to be set along with any constraints that may need to be considered. Okay, so of course, since you are the designer, since you are the engineer, you should know this terminologies, the values, the constraints that you need to do whenever you duct your whenever you size your duct. So like for example, so there's an option here if you only want, let's say, friction only, friction and, or friction or. Okay, so when you say only, okay, so sizes ducts according to the parameters for the selected method. Okay, like for example, friction only or velocity only. Okay, then the other one here is end. So it sizes ducts to meet the parameters that you specify for both, for example, for friction and velocity. Okay, the other one here is or. So or, it sizes the ducts or pipe according to the least restrictive of either friction or velocity parameters. Okay, so these are just some of the options there, and then you can also specify here the constraints. Okay, and then you can restrict the height, and then you can also restrict the width with a specified value. Now, so what we are going to do here is, let me just cancel this. All right, so let me just quickly show you again. So you hover your pointer, press tab, tab again. Once it highlights, you click, and then you select duct pipe sizing. So you click that one. So I'm going to use here friction, and then I'll just use the default settings that I have here. So I'm going to use friction only. Okay, and then now for the restrictions, I'm going to restrict the height to 14 inches. Okay, so larger of connector and calculated, so restrict height 14 inches. And then I'm just going to select here OK. And then Revit will now help you to properly size your duct. There you go. Okay, and then you just click outside. Okay, and then there is this another tool that you can use is that you can actually use the system inspector. Okay, so you can use the system inspector again, same procedure. So for the system inspector, so you just hover your pointer, press tab, tab again, tab, and then click. And then there's the system inspector. Okay, so system inspector. So I'm going to select that. Okay, so the system inspector is used to inspect an air system for critical flow path of branches, so main segments or entire systems. So the system inspector can identify the areas of an air system with the highest pressure loss, allowing you to modify the design as required for maximum economy and efficiency. So as you can see, there's the tool here, inspect. So as you hover your pointer, it will give you an idea that this portion here, there's a pressure loss of 0.05 inch WG, and then here, there's no pressure loss, there's no pressure loss here. See? That's how good is this tool. Okay, so it will really tells you identify the areas of an air system with the highest pressure loss. Okay, so now once you're done inspecting it, of course you need to take down this one, you take note of this, let the engineer knows it so that because they need to consider this one in their design. Okay, so once you finish inspecting, just select finish, and there you go. Okay, right. So that's how you generate your duct layout, automatic generation. Okay, so in our next video, what we are going to learn is we are going to create and modify our ductwork. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Our HVAC. So this time around, we're going to learn how to create and modify ductwork. Okay, so in this exercise, we're going to create and modify ductwork in our HVAC system. So as a mechanical designer, you need to modify the design of the return air system in this building that we are working on by adding a return air duct. So we're going to apply a duct color fill to view the system name as the color scheme, and then we're going to connect 4 return air terminals to the open-ended return air duct. So I'm going to zoom into this area that we're going to work on. So as you can see, we have here 4 air terminals. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 return air terminal. So to do this, we're going to use a common combination of tools such as control grips, routing solutions, connect into, and some justification editor tool in Revit. Okay, so let's do this. So after learning how we do it automatically, remember this is what we did yesterday or on our last video, we generate our supply layout automatically. So this time around, so let us do it manually for our return duct. Okay, so to start with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select the annotate tab here because I want to put some duct legend. Okay, because I want to apply that color field to view the system name of our duct here. So I'm going to select duct legend, and then I'm just going to place it here. So you click that one, and then after that, just make sure duct color field is selected. Then after that, just select OK. Now, after you create the color scheme legend, so we're going to modify it. So how to modify a color scheme legend? Because right now, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so it's based on the size of the system or the duct of our system. So instead of using that, I'm going to use select that, and then I'm going to edit scheme. And then instead of using the size of our duct, I'm going to select system name here. So there's the system name, and then just select your OK. So the color will now going to be based on the system name. Okay, and then after that, just select OK to apply that now to our model. Let's just wait. It's loading. Okay, there you go. So it's now based on the name of the system. So we're going to make this ductwork here. So we're going to connect that to our air terminals. All right. Now after editing or after generating our color scheme legend for the duct, so I'm going to create a ductwork using color grips and routing solution options. So how to do that? So as you can see here, I have the return diffuser, and then there's the duct here. I'm going to click this duct, and then you can see there's a grip, right? So you can use that. You can stretch that one to resize the length of your duct. So you can click that, and then you can drag that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this control grip to the center of this air terminal. Okay, I want that to be aligned there, so I'm going to drag like that. So just like that. Okay, so it's now aligned. Now while this duct is still selected, I'm going to hold control, and then I'm going to click this air terminal here. Okay, that's the one. So now that I have selected these 2 elements, you will now see a layout panel here, and then there's the routing solutions. It offers different routing solutions to connect system components for creating piping or ductwork. So as you can see, routing solution can also apply to your piping if you're going to do your piping. Okay, so I'm going to select routing solutions, and then by default, it has 2 solutions here. So at the moment, it's showing 2 of 2 solutions. If you want to see the other one, you can click that arrow, and then it looks like this. Okay, so it's using a flexible duct here. So let's say this is what I want to use. So I'm just going to select finish here to apply the routing solution. And there you have it. And then select modify. Now I'm going to go ahead and select this one, and then I'm going to select selection box to see that in 3D view. Okay, right click, zoom to fit. There you go. Okay, so that's the one. So let us just go back again to floor plan and then select tile windows here to see that 3D as well. So I'm going to select this section box. There's a section box, and then you can actually stretch that one to see that part. So let us just move this up. There you go. So that's the one that we just created. So you can type SD for shaded view. Let's adjust that, and there you go. Okay, so this is the one that we just created. Now the next part of the exercise that we'll be doing is we're going to connect our ductwork to this air terminal here. Okay, so another way of creating your duct is by clicking a fitting, like for example this one. Okay, so I'm going to select this fitting here, this rectangular duct elbow, and then as you can see, there's a plus sign that shows here. So you can upgrade that elbow to a T fittings. So let's say, for example, you have an air terminal here, so you can click that plus sign so that you'll be able to create that or convert that to a T fitting. So you can now create another duct here that will connect to this duct that we have here. Okay, how to do that? Okay, so I'm going to click this T fittings, and then you see that grip. So just right click that one, and then there's an option here, draw duct. Okay, so you click that draw duct, and then after that, you now have an option here. Before you click your air terminal, you have an option here to change the type of the duct that you will be creating. It's either rectangular duct or round duct. Okay, in my case, I'll just use a mitered elbow piece. That's all right. And then I'm now going to click that node to connect to the air terminal. Just pick, and there you go. So it's now created. Okay, just escape. All right. Now another way of doing this, let's say I want this to be let's say flexible dock as well. So to do that, to convert this to a flexible dock, what I can do is I'm going to select the systems tab, and then there's a tool here that is called, guess what, convert to flex dock. So I'm going to select this one, and then you select the air terminal. Do not select the dock. So the proper way is selecting the air terminal. Just click that, and this is now how it looks like. Okay. Right, so basically that's another way of connecting your dock to your air terminal. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is here, this portion here. So I'm going to select modify to terminate the convert to flex dock. Okay, and then let's do it here. So I now have another air terminal here. So let me just adjust this so we can see what I'm talking about. This one. There you go. So there's the air terminal. I want that to be connected here. So aside from creating it, clicking, right clicking, and then selecting draw dock. So another way of doing that is you can click the air terminal, and then there's a tool here that is called connect into. It creates a physical connection between a selected component and a duct or pipe. Okay, you can also apply this to your plumbing, sanitary, domestic. Okay, if you want to connect your water closet to a duct, to a pipe, so you can use also connect into. Okay, so here I selected the air terminal, and then I select connect into, and then select the duct where you want that to be connected. So just click that, and there you go. Okay, and you can also change the justification of your duct. Like for example, I'm going to click this duct here. I click that, and then I'm going to hold control and then click this duct here, like that. And then you have an option here that is called justify. It opens the justification editor to align the tops, bottoms, or sides of ductwork, piping, cable tray, or conduit in a section of the system. So if I'm going to select this one, justify, and then these are now the justifications that you can use. So at the moment, it's at the middle center. So let's say I'll use the top right. Okay, so I click top right. You see there's an arrow here, middle center. So if I click the top right, so that's how it's look like. See? Right? So you need to finish that. Okay, so you need to finish, and let's see what will happen. So click finish, and there you go. So that's now how it looks like. Now it messed up our duct here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this duct, delete. Okay, so we're doing it manually. So let's click this duct here, and then you can adjust that grip. Okay, resize that, and then you can create from here a flex duct. So click flex duct, and then you can now click that one. Connect, and there you go. So there's another way of creating or editing a ductwork. Okay, so now for the last one, okay, it's up to you. How do you want this to be done? So I can create a duct here. So right click, draw duct. Okay, you can specify the size here. So let's say I want this to be 14. 14. There you go, and then I can now click from here. There you go. So let's see that in 3D view. Let's adjust this. All right, so this is now how it looks like. Is that this one? Again, I can go to the systems, and then I can use here convert to flex dock, and then select that air terminal. There you go, and then select modify. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this air terminal that I have here, hold control, and then I'm going to click this air terminal below here, lower right corner, and then I'm going to select selection box to see that in our 3D view. So you just adjust that, move up, adjust from here, and there you have it. Okay, so let's select this one, just click, there you go. Right. Okay, so basically that's how you create and modify ductwork. So if you want to have this exercise file, again, just put a comment on the comment section below, and then you can put your email address, and then I will be sending this exercise file to you so that you'll be able to follow. And if you have time, you can also do the other side here, this one here. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video, guys. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, just put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. In Revit MEP. Okay, so last video we have learned how to edit and modify, create your ductwork. So this time around we are going to move on to the HVAC system piping. So as you can see, this is the exercise file. Again, if you want to have the file, so you just comment your email address to the comment section below, and I'll be sending you the exercise file so that you'll be able to follow what I'm doing in this video. Alright, so system piping is a 3D representation of the sections of pipe to be used in a building mechanical systems. So pipe fittings are 3D representations of the connections and transitions among various sections of a pipe. Okay, so pipe systems are It's a collection of piping and pipe fittings that are used to create piping of a particular type or for a particular purpose. So when placing the pipe of a given pipe system, the pipe fittings use the pipe family's type specified in the type properties of that system are automatically inserted to create the piping run. So if you are going to go to the Systems tab, I know I already discussed this on the earlier videos, but if you're going to click the mechanical settings, here you can see the pipe settings. Okay, so this is the pipe settings that you can change the property, and there's the angle. Then you also have the conversions. Okay, so if you want to automate your piping, so this is the default settings of the pipe that you will be creating. For example, for hydraulic supply, for return, for domestic water, for sanitary, okay, for fire protection. So this is where you set up the type of the pipe that you will be using when you do the creation of the piping. Okay, so just like your HVAC, your ducting, you also have methods for pipe sizing here. So the pipe sizing methods are based on velocity, friction, or a combination of the two quantities. I'm going to show you that in a minute in this exercise. Okay, so I'm just saying that same with your ducting, you also have pipe sizing. Okay, all right, so let's do this exercise. So in this exercise, we're going to create a piping system, hydronic return to be specific. So we are going to place an air-cooled chiller outside the basement. So as you can see in this exercise, there's already the location of our chiller, and then this chiller will discharge to the base mounted pump that we are going to place later on, which will circulate the chilled water throughout the building. So what we're going to do in this exercise is we're going to place mechanical equipment, we're going to create the hydronic return system layout, and then after doing it automatically, we're going to edit the system properties, and let's try to size the piping system. Okay, so let's start by inserting first the chiller. So here, there's the chiller insertion point. So I want you guys to go to the Systems tab, and then you go to the mechanical equipment, and then from the properties, okay, so the chiller is already selected. Okay, so if not, just click the drop down arrow here, the type selector, and then look for the air cooled chiller. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the spacebar 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, because if you press the spacebar, it will rotate the element or the equipment, and then I'm now going to place it here at the insertion point. So I'm going to place it there, and there you go. Okay, so while the mechanical equipment tool is still active, so let's change it. So this time around, so let's look for base mounted pump. This one, model 4x6. Let's click that, and then we are going to place it here. So I'm going to press the spacebar a couple of times, 1, 2, or 3 times 3. Okay, and then I'm going to place it here. There you go. Right, and then let's now select modify to terminate the tool. There you go. Okay, so maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the align tool. So there's the align tool. I'm going to align it to this. Okay, there you go. It's now aligned. All right, so it's now aligned. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create now a system. So the creation of system is the same as the way we create our HVAC system. So this time we're going to create hydronic return system. So to do that, I'm going to select the AHU coil here. So I have one coil here. So I'm going to select the element that I want to be part of the system. So I'm going to hold control to select the other coil. Okay, and then after that, from the create systems, you can see that you have duct here and then piping. So the reason why you have two systems here is because of the connector. So the coils that we just selected, it contains two connectors, connector for duct and then connector for piping. That's why you have two systems here that you can create because of the connectors that is present to the coil. But for this one, instead of creating a duct system, I'm going to select piping. So I'm going to select piping, and then here you can specify the name. So let's say I'm going to put here CCHWR. So let's say that's my chilled water return. And then let's open up the, okay, for the system type, let's make sure this is hydronic return. Okay, so the reason why you have several system type here on the system type drop down, because again, the coil that we have selected, it contains several connectors for the piping system. So one has the return, one has the supply, and one has other type of system. That's why you are seeing here 3 system type. Anyway, I just select the hydronic return, and then I just put CHWR for chilled water return, and then I would like to open the system editor, and then I select OK. So it will now open the system editor. Okay, and then after that, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select equipment. Okay, I want to select the equipment for this system. So I'm going to select equipment, and then I would like to select the chiller. Okay, so select the chiller. There you go. So as you can see, we now have a system here. It contains 2 elements. Okay, and then we have 1 equipment. So I'm going to select finish editing system. There you go. Right. So if I'm going to hover my pointer to the chiller and then press tab, you can see that it highlights. If you click, it highlights now all the elements that is part of that system. Right. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the coil. Okay, that is part of the system. So let's say I'm going to select the upper AHU coil here. So I'm going to select this, and just like your ducting, you also have layout panel here that says generate layout. Okay, so I'm going to select generate layout. Just click that one, and there you go. So there's now the layout for the piping. So the solution here is network by default. So you have 5 solution, right? So you have 5 solution, and then you also have here perimeter. So there's the perimeter. Again, you have here how many solutions? So you have 5 solution, and then you also have intersection. So you have 2 solutions for intersection. Okay, so now for this one, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use network, and then let me try. Okay, so I'll try 4 of 5. Okay, so 4 of 5. So the blue one here, that's your main pipe, and then the green one, that is your branch pipe. Okay, now if you want to edit the location of your pipe here, what you can do is you can select here edit layout. You can click that one. Okay, if you click that, you will be able to select the line here, the pipe, and then you'll be able to move that just like that. So you can drag. Okay, you can drag that. So let's say I'm just going to put it here. Okay, so let's say for this one, I'm going to click that, and then there's the move icon, so I can drag that if I want. Okay, so you can use the edit layout tool here to change the positioning of your piping. Okay, and then you can also go back again to solutions if you want. Okay, now you notice that it becomes custom because we already edit the layout. Okay, which is not a problem. Okay, now after that, so let us now finish the layout. Okay, so I'm going to select finish layout. So let's click this one, and let's see what happens. There you go. Okay, so there's now your piping. So if I go to the project browser, so there's a 3D view here. So I'm going to open the 3D view, and then this is now how it looks like. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to edit the layout. So after we learn how to generate, so let us try to learn how to create and edit our piping layout. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 1-MEP floor plan, and then I'm going to click, oh, how about I'll just open this one, MEP piping. Okay, so the MEP piping system, and then I'm going to close 1-MEP. And then I'm going to use tile view so I can see the other views here, the 3D view. Okay, this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I want to edit the piping system properties. So I want to connect the piping to our base-mounted pump here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in here, and then I'm going to use split tool. So from the modify, so I'm going to use the split tool. Why? Because I want to edit the piping. So I'm going to select the split, and then I'm going to make sure that delete inner segment here is checked, and then I'm going to start to split here, and then let's say somewhere here. There you go. So it's now split. There you go. In 3D view, it's already split. Okay, you basically break the pipe and remove the inner segment. So I'm going to delete this one, the coupling. I don't need that, so select that and then delete. And then select that coupling and then delete. Okay, so we don't need that. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click the pipe, or maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a section, or okay, so not create section, but I'll just click this pipe here. Okay, I'm going to select draw pipe, and then I can actually connect here. Okay, so I think it's not aligned here because as you can see, if I click this and then if I right click and then draw the pipe, as you can see, it's not connecting, right? Okay, so it's because our pipe is not aligned to that center of our pump. So that's why what I'm going to do is I'm going to align it. So I'm going to use the AL command, the align tool. Or maybe I'm just going to select this pump here, and then I'm going to right click that, and then I'm going to draw pipe. Okay, and then make sure on the properties that that is a hydronic return. Okay, and then before you pick your point, okay, so make sure you specify the elevation. Okay, so you specify the elevation. So let's say I'm going to make it 9 feet. Enter. So that is the height of my pipe, and then I'm going to create a short segment here. Okay, just create a short segment, and there you go, and then modify. Okay, as you can see here in 3D view, it creates now our pipe here. Okay, now I'm going to change the view here to 1-MEP, then close that system. Okay, why is it on wireframe? Okay, there you go. All right, and then I'm going to align just to make sure that this pipe and then this pipe here is aligned. So I'm going to use the align tool, align. So I'm going to tap, click, and then hover your pointer here, click. Okay, there you go. So it's now aligned. Right, now so let us now connect this. So I'm going to click that, then I'm going to drag that to connect to that pipe. There you go. So it's now connected here. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is, you see this portion here of our pump. So I'm going to create a short segment of pipe here, and then draw up, because I want to connect this pipe to that connection. Okay, so same procedure, I'm going to select this pump. Okay, I'm going to right click that, draw pipe. Okay, and then I'm going to change the size. So let's say I'll just select 4 inches again. And then I'm going to select a short segment. I'm going to pick a short segment, and then I'm going to change the elevation. So let's say 9 feet as well. And then I'm going to pick another point here to create that one, and then modify to terminate. There you go. So this is now how it looks like. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to align now this pipe to this pipe. Okay, so let's do this. Let's align. So use the align tool, click the center of that pipe, and then the center of this pipe to align. There you go. So let's check that out in the 3D view. They are now aligned, and then they are not yet connected properly. So I'm going to go ahead and select this pipe here, and then pick that connector. There you go. So it's now properly connected. Right? Okay, so basically that's how you modify your pipe. So you can use the split tool, you can use align, you can use copy, you can use move, you can use rotate or mirror. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to size the piping. Okay, so here in our floor plan, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into my chiller area here. Okay, all right, and then let's say I'm going to click this vertical riser here. Oh, not that one. It should be here on the chiller. So in the 3D view, I'll just click the vertical riser, and then let me just move this to the left side. So I'm going to pick the base point here and then move that to the left. So let's say 1000. What happens? So I click this. Let's try to move. It's not moving. Oh, sorry, not 1000, but 2 feet. Okay, because I'm thinking millimeter, so it should be just 2 feet. There you go. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hover my pointer again to the pipe. So let's hover our pointer, press tab, and then after that you click. Okay, and then just like your ducting, you'll be able to see here the pipe sizing. Okay, so let me repeat again. So you hover your pointer to that elbow and then press tab. So it will highlight the connection. So once it highlights the network, the pipe network, so you click. And then after that, you see the analysis panel here. There's the duct pipe sizing, so just click that one. There you go. And then after that, so I'm going to use here velocity. So it's basically the same as ducting, okay? But for the pipe, you only have friction and velocity. So when you say friction, a pipe is sized based on the allowable friction as is specified in our pipe sizing dialog. So if you select friction, so it's based here. Okay, now the other one is velocity. So pipe size is based on the velocity specified here on our sizing method. And then you also have only and or. Okay, so it's the same as your ducting. So if you select velocity and friction, so meaning a pipe is sized to meet both the velocity and then the allowable friction specified in the pipe sizing dialog box. So if you're going to select velocity or, a pipe is sized to meet the velocity or allowable friction as specified here on our pipe sizing dialog box. The other one is only, that one is self-explanatory. Okay, so that one. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to use velocity here using 4 FPS, and then I'll just use the default settings. Okay, so I'm just going to select OK, And that's it. There you go. So it's now properly sized. So it's now automatically sized. There you go. Oops, cancel. There you go. All right. So it's now pipe sized automatically. So basically, this is our exercise for creating a chilled water return system piping. So it's not that difficult. It's just the same as doing your ducting. Okay. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or you want the exercise file, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Mike. What's up guys, Learning with Rich here. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a sanitary plumbing system. So after we learn how to create our chilled water return system on our last video, in this exercise, we're going to create a sanitary plumbing system. So in this building, you are laying out the bathroom plumbing for a conference center project. So for this, you need to place plumbing fixtures, and then we're going to create a sanitary plumbing system, and then a gray sanitary water system, and then we're going to complete the run for the unit. So what we will be doing is we're going to place plumbing fixtures, create a sanitary plumbing system layout, create a gray sanitary water system layout, and then I'm going to show you how to manually complete the plumbing run for the unit. So just like our previous video, I'm going to show you how to do it automatically, and then I'm going to show you how to create it manually. Okay? Cool. So again, if you want to have this exercise file, you just need to put a comment on the comment section below and put your email address, and then I'll be sending you the exercise file. All right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into this area here. So this is where we're going to do the exercise. So as you can see, there are already lines here that we will be using as our guide, as a placement for our plumbing fixtures. Okay, so to start with, so I'm going to select here the Systems tab, and then I'm going to select the plumbing fixture. Okay, and then for the plumbing fixture here, I'm going to select a wall-mounted lavatory. Okay, so I'm going to use wall-mounted 19 by 14 inches public wall-mounted. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to place it here. Okay, so if ever you're having a difficulty aligning this plumbing fixture to the line, that's all right. You can just click outside first, for example, just like that, and then you can use the align tool. So use the align tool, align. You select that green line, that reference line, and then you select the center here, just for you to be able to align it nicely. Okay, there you go. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to place plumbing fixtures, which is, let's say, another toilet, okay, or water closet. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to insert a water closet. So I'm going to zoom in here. So Systems tab, plumbing fixture, okay, and then again from the type selector. So let's look for wall-mounted water closet. So select this one, and then let us put it on our reference line here. There you go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. So next, we are going to mirror this to the other side, to the men's room. So we will be selecting all of this plumbing fixtures, and then we will be mirroring it to the other side. Okay, so to do that, very simple. You just need to select all the plumbing fixtures. Just click that, click, click, click. Okay, and then let's use the mirror tool. So mirror, draw axis, and then we're going to pick this midpoint. Okay, so this one. So you just pick that one, and then you pick another point here to place the plumbing fixtures. There you go. So while all of the plumbing fixtures here are selected, so I'm going to select the other plumbing fixtures. So I'm going to hold control and then select all the plumbing fixtures that I would like to be included to my system. Okay, so after you select all these plumbing fixtures, the next thing is you can see here create system. So you just need to select the piping. So it's the same procedure just like what we are doing on our last couple of videos. So this is how you create the system. So I'm going to select piping, and then after that you just put the name here. So we will be creating a sanitary piping here. If you click the drop down, you can see domestic cold water as well, and then you can also select other there. Okay, so it depends on the connectors that you have on the plumbing fixtures. Okay, so if you have hot water or other hydronic system piping connected to the plumbing fixture, you'll be able to select it from the drop down arrow here. So I'll be using sanitary because that is what we're going to do, and the name. So let's say I'm going to change this to second floor sanitary. Okay, so second floor sanitary. Okay, and then after that I'm just going to select here OK to create the system. There you go. So it's now created. So if I'm going to select one of the plumbing fixture, as you can see, you now have piping systems here that you can edit the system because this element that I selected is already part of the system. You see, there's the system. Okay, now to start creating the sanitary piping, so we are going to generate the layout. Okay, so to generate the layout, I'm going to select again one of the plumbing fixtures that is already included to the system. So just click, and then after that, you can see from the layout, there's a generate layout. So let's click that one. Okay, and then you will now be able to see here the different layout. So before that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a base. So there is a tool here that you can place a base in the system to establish a source or an outlet for flow. So just like a stack, for example. So you can use this tool. So aside from creating it manually by creating a duct, or I mean a pipe, vertical, so you can also use place base. Places a base in the system to establish a source or an outlet for flow. Okay, so I'm going to select this one, place base, and then after that I'm just going to place it here. Okay, so zoom in, so I'm going to place it here. So let's click. Okay, and then after that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the offset. Okay, so for the offset, the distance, so I'm just going to make it -4. So -4 feet, so meaning to say it will go down 4 feet, the pipes. Okay, so that's the offset. And then for the diameter, instead of 6 inches, so I'm going to use a 4-inch pipe. Okay, so 4 inches pipe, it's like 100 mm if you're doing metric. Okay, and then for the solution, let's go back to our solution here. So let's look for the solution. So for the solution, I think I'm going to select here How about this one? How about 3 out of 6? So 3 of 6. So this is the solution that I'm going to use. Again, if you want to check out the settings here, you can also specify the slope value here of your pipe. Okay, but for me, let's check out the settings. Okay, so for the settings, you can see that the main branch here, the default is PVC, and then the offset is 6 inches. Okay, 6 inches below our main pipe. So the main pipe, that is the blue pipe, and then the branch pipe, that is your green pipe. Okay, so I hope that one is clear. So I'm just going to use this offset of 6 inches. I'm going to select here OK. All right, and then after that, let us now finish the layout. Let's finish that one, and then there you go. So you just created now the layout automatically. So now I'm going to open the second floor plumbing 3D view here, just this one. So this is now how it looks like. Okay, so let me just go to the floor plan and then type WT for tile window, so I can see the floor plan and I can see as well the 3D here. Now the next thing that we are going to do is, let's say you want to create a gray sanitary water system layout. So let's say you want to recycle the water. So you do not want your, let's say, your lavatories here to be connected along the sanitary here, our water closet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a gray sanitary water system. So how to do that? So you just need to edit your piping here. So let us try to edit the system. So I'm going to select the plumbing fixture, and then let's go to the piping systems. Okay, and then let's select edit system. So let us try if we can remove our plumbing fixtures to the system, because there is a remove from system here. So let's use that one. And then, okay, so for this one, I can't remove. So for some reason, in the lower version, you can actually remove a plumbing system from the a plumbing fixture from the system. I just don't know how to remove it. Okay, here in the newer version. Okay, but anyway, if I select this one, because it's still part of the system, so that's part of the system, second floor sanitary. So how about system, piping system, edit system. Okay, remove. Okay, I can remove it. Okay, so anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to go to the system browser. So let's go to the system browser. So let's check out if we can do some editing here on the system browser. Okay, so from the system browser, so I'm going to select this plumbing fixture. So as you can see, it highlights here on our system browser. So I'm going to expand that. I'm going to expand that. Expand. So there's your lavatory here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this, and then I'm going to delete it. Okay, so that is what will going to happen if you're going to remove it from here. So basically, you will not be able to remove it from the system, but if you're going to delete it, okay, it will just physically delete it to your drawing. Okay, so don't do that one. So I'm just going to undo it. Okay, so there you go. So let's check out what else that we can do here to divide the system. So I'll try to divide the system if we have that. Okay, so a piping system. Okay, so there's no other system. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect this plumbing fixtures here from our water closet, our lavatory. So I'm going to delete this one. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete this one as well. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to move this to the left side, and then I'm just going to trim it. Okay, so let's trim this one. Okay, there you go. And then after that, let's now connect this. It really bothers me how are we going to remove these plumbing fixtures to the system, because on the lower version, you can actually remove it from the system using that piping system here, edit system, you can remove that. But for this one, for some reason, I can't remove it from the system. Okay, but anyway, that's all right. So I'm just going to physically make it separated from the water water closet. So I'm just going to create my gray water system. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is, after we remove the pipe, deleted the pipe, is we're going to change the size of our pipes. Okay, so we're going to start resizing the 4 inches pipe to 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to hover my pointer here and then press tab 2 times, and then click. All right, just to select this connection of pipes, because we want to change that. So instead of 4 inches, so I'm going to make that 2 inches. All right, so 2 inches. There you go. There you go. So that's what we like. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select this fitting here and then convert that into P fittings. There you go. And then I'm going to select this. Let's create. Right click. Let's create a pipe and then draw pipe. Let's pick from here. Okay. So before you pick, by the way, don't forget to put a slope. So this is sloping down because I'm going to that direction, going down to here. So I'm going to select slope down. Okay, and then let's use 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's the slope. So I'm going to pick here, and then I'm going to pick here. Okay, and then if you want to go down the pipe, if you want to make it going down, so you can just change the value here, the elevation. So let's say you can type minus value. So let's say I'm going to type -2 feet, and then I'm going to apply. Apply. There you go. So there's now our pipe there. Okay. All right. Okay. So there you go. So basically, that's how you create your piping. Now, if you still have time, what you can do is you can use the default family in Revit, wherein you can use here a tab. If you want, you can go to the Insert tab, and then after that, you can go to Load Family, and then you go to the pipe. Okay, double click the pipe, and then you go to I think that is fittings, and then you go to PVC, double click, Schedule 40, socket type, DWV, and then here you can use the trap. So there's a trap that you can use if you want to put a trap on our lavatory. Okay, so you can use that one as well. So just select that and then load it into the project. So open that. Okay, and then after that, you can just connect it to your pipe here. So let's say, let me go to the systems. Let's go to the pipe fitting, use the trap, and then you pick now the pipe where you want to connect that. There you go. So you can pick that, and then you can go to the floor plan, and then you can rotate that one, right? You can rotate it, you can rotate. There you go, and then you can edit from the 3D view, or you can also create a section if you want. You can just move up, and then you can create a pipe from that particular trap. So you click that, right click that, draw pipe, okay, and then pick slope off. Wait, what's happening? So you pick that, right click, draw pipe, So let's pick 1 point. There you go. Okay. And then you can now connect that to your connection here. Okay. So you can use a line tool. You can move this. You can create a pipe going down and then connect it from there. Okay. So basically that's how you edit your model, or maybe you can just draw a pipe that is going down. So let's say -3 feet, so that you have a pipe that goes down. There you go. And then you can trim this. Okay, it's up to you. There's a lot of ways to do the modeling in Revit. Okay, I'm just showing you some example. All right. Okay, so basically that's how you do your plumbing system. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. All right. So once again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Fire protection systems. Okay, so last time we have learned how to create our sanitary plumbing system. So in this lesson, so we're going to learn how to create a fire protection system. Okay, so let's do this. So in this exercise, we're going to create and lay out a wet and a dry fire protection system. So we're going to create a sprinkler layout in the fire protection piping plan for a small room and the hallway in our conference center. So we're going to place sprinkler heads, we're going to create the sprinkler system, and then we're going to lay out the sprinkler piping. Right, so let's get started. So I'm just going to zoom into this area here. Okay, on our hallway. So as you can see, there is already our reference lines there. So that is going to be the placement of our sprinkler. Okay, so let's do this. So as you can see, I'm now on the second floor ceiling plan. So I would like to place, of course, my sprinkler heads to the ceiling. So I'm going to zoom into this area, and then let's go to the systems. And then from here, you can now see the plumbing and piping panel. So there you can see the sprinkler tool. Okay, so I'm going to select this one, and then I'm going to make sure on the properties that I'm selecting a dry pendant semi-thesis hosted. Okay, so it should be hosted 1/2 inch. Okay, so 1/2 inch dry pendant. So I'm going to select this one, and then after that, make sure that here on the placement, make sure you are selecting place on face, not on vertical face. Of course, we want to place it on the face of our ceiling plan. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one, and then after that, just zoom in to this part here. So this is where I'm going to place it. So I'm going to place it, click, and then after that, you just need to select here, modify to terminate it. Again, if you want to have the exercise file of this, so you just need to put a comment on the comment section below, and I'll be sending you the exercise file if you're going to put your email address on your comment. All right. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to copy this one. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. So let's select our sprinkler, and then I'm going to copy. Where's the copy tool? So there's the copy tool, and then just make sure that the multiple is selected, and then I'm going to constrain it so that the movement will going to be horizontal and vertical. So I'm going to pick here, and then I'm going to copy that to the right side. Okay, so I'm going to key in here the distance 9 feet. So if you're using metric, so it's about 2,700 mm. So I'm going to type 9, enter. Then I'm going to move again to the right, and then 9, enter. There you go. Then stick. Right, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy again, but this time I'm going to select the left and then the right sprinkler head, and then I'm going to copy this below. Okay, so I'm going to copy, I'm going to pick here. Okay, so same distance, we're going to type 9, enter, and then move your pointer, 9, enter. Okay, so 9, enter. So how many already? So 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so I'm going to pick another point here, so 9, enter. Okay, and then I'm just going to press escape. So we have a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So we have 11 instances of sprinkler heads, each 9 feet apart. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to place another sprinkler head. So this time around on our room 213. Okay, so there's our reference line there. So that is where we're going to place our sprinkler head. So again, let's select sprinkler. This time around, we're going to use sprinkler head hosted 1/2 inch pendant. So sprinkler pendant hosted. Okay, 1/2 inch pendant. So I'm going to select this one, and then again, make sure the place on face is selected, and then I'm going to place it here. So click. Then let's pick here again, and then I just select here, modify. There you go. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it above. Okay, so I'm going to copy it above. So we're going to select both the instances of the sprinkler that we just placed. So let's select, hold control, and then click the other sprinkler. So copy, multiple, constraint. So we're going to copy that above. So I'm going to pick here, move up 10 feet. Okay, move up 10 feet, enter. And then just select and modify. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is just like what we did last time. So we are going to create a system. Okay, so this time around we're going to create a sprinkler system. So how to do that? Same procedure just like what we did last time on our HVAC, on our system piping, on our plumbing system. So same procedure. You just need to select one of the sprinkler head, and then you will see again here the create systems. And then you just need to select piping here. Okay, and there you go. So you now have the fire protection dry. So if you click the drop down, so there is other system there, but we are going to create a dry. So as you can see, the connector for this sprinkler is a dry connector. Okay, so the system is dry, so that's why you are creating a dry. So let's say I'm going to call this second floor fire protection dry, and then I'm going to select open in system editor, so I can select the other sprinkler heads and add to the system. So as you can see, add to system is already selected. So I'm going to select all of the sprinkler heads that I would like to be added to our system, and then just select finish. There you go. Okay, so that is what we're going to do as well on our room here, on our sprinkler heads in this room 213. So I'm going to select one, select piping, and then as you can see, it's wet. Okay, so I'm going to type here, second floor fire protection wet. And after that, again, I'm going to select open in system editor, select OK, and then add to system is already selected. So I'm going to select all of the sprinklers that I would like to be part of the system, and then finish editing system. Click that one. There you go. Now the next thing that we're going to do, we are now going to lay out the sprinkler piping. So let's go here on our hallway. So how to lay out our sprinkler piping. Again, you can do it manually or you can do it automatically, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to generate the layout. So I'm going to click one of the sprinkler head that is already part of the system, and then there's the layout panel. I'm going to select generate layout. Okay, and then for the solution type, instead of network, I'll try to use, let's say, perimeter. So let's click perimeter, and then, okay, I'll try to use perimeter. Okay, so how about perimeter 405? Okay, and then you can also change the offset here if you want. So if you're going to change the offset, so let me just zoom in so you can see how it works. So I zoom in, so let's say I'm going to make it 1 foot, enter. So as you can see, there's an offset of pipe that is happening. So let's say I'm going to make that 2 feet, enter. So there you go. So there's the offset. All right. So anyway, I'm just going to put back that to 9 inches. 9 inches, enter. There you go. And then you can also change here the settings of your pipe. So you can click the settings, and then you can change just like your plumbing system and system piping. So you can also change the main here and then the branch here. So for the main, you can change the offset to whatever height that you want. So let's say, for example, I'm going to adjust this instead of 9 feet. So I'm going to type, let's say 12 feet, enter. Okay, and then that's the type of the pipe that we'll be creating. Again, the main pipe, that is the blue pipe that you're seeing on our layout here. The branch, that is the color green. Okay, now I'm going to change this as well. Let's say 12 feet, and then I'll just select OK. There you go. Okay, and then after that, don't forget to select finish layout to create the pipe layout for the sprinklers. Just click that one, and there you have it. So you just created the piping for your hallway. So let us try to do that as well on our room 213 here. Same procedure. Just click one of the sprinkler, go to generate layout. Okay, and then let's select a solution type here. So for this one, let me use network. Okay, and then let's go to settings. Let's try to change the settings. So instead of 9 feet, so let's say I'm going to type 10 feet. Same with the branch here. So I'm going to type 10 feet, enter, and then I'll select here OK. All right, and then after that, just finish the layout. There you go. So you just created now your layout. So if I'm going to check out the second floor fire protection, you can select that one, and then there you go. Okay, so you can type SD for shaded view. That's how it looks like. Of course, you can still modify that if you want. Okay, so there you go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to type WT so I can view that. So there's my layout here. All right, so that's it for this quick exercise for creating a fire protection system. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. We are now going to talk about creating an electrical lighting circuit. So in this exercise, we're going to create an electrical lighting circuit by placing lighting fixtures, assigning them to an electrical circuit, and we're going to edit the circuits in the panel. Okay, so in this project, you are completing the lighting layout for a conference center. So we need to create an electrical lighting circuit in one of the rooms of the conference center, which is here. Okay, so we are going to place lighting fixture and switches, and then let us try to observe the lighting calculation, the space lighting calculations, and then we're going to create an electrical circuit, and then we're going to tag our lighting fixtures. So I'm just going to zoom in to this area here. So as you can see, some of the area here already has lighting fixtures, but in our case, I'm just going to do it here on our classroom 5307. Okay, so let's do it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to place light fixtures and switches. So by the way, if I'm going to select the space here, this one, so this is the space. So I click that, and then if you're going to check here the space properties, you will see that currently the average estimated illumination. Okay, so we only have 0 value here. Okay, for our average estimated illumination. Okay, and then of course you'll be able to see here some of the properties of our spaces. Now you will notice later on as we place our lighting fixtures, you'll be able to notice the average estimated illumination here, which is currently 0. It will change. Okay, so the Revit will read the property of the lighting fixture that we will be placing on our space, which is very useful because we want to know the average estimated illumination or the lux level of our one room, for example in this room. Okay, so now let's start to place lighting fixtures and switches. Okay, so as you can see, we are on the ceiling level. So I'm going to select the Systems tab, and then after that, there's the Electrical. So I'm going to look for the lighting fixture. So I select the lighting fixture, and then from the properties, I need to look for recess lighting fixture, okay, which is this one. Okay, we're going to place that on our ceiling. So I'm going to select, let's say 2 by 4, 277 lighting fixture. So I'm going to select this one, okay, and then make sure the placement here is set to place on face because we're going to place it on our ceiling. So I'm going to select this, and then we will now be able to place it. So we are going to rotate our lighting fixture by pressing the space bar. That's the one, and then after that, I'm going to place it here. Okay, so you just need to click, and then after that, select modify to terminate. There you go. So we now have one of the lighting fixture here. Let me just turn off the thin lines here so we can see the thickness of our lighting fixture. So there you go. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. Okay, so I'm going to select, and then I'm going to copy. Okay, so make sure multiple is selected here. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to copy it to the right side 8 feet. So I'm going to type 8, enter. There you go. And then I'm going to copy another one. So 8, enter. There you go. And then I select here modify. So I need to copy my lighting fixture again a couple of times, but this time I'm going to select the 3 of this lighting fixture. So click one and then hold control and then select the other lighting fixtures by clicking it as well. So I now have 3 selected lighting fixtures, and then I'm going to copy that. Let's copy that, and then I'm going to click another place point somewhere here, and then same, I'm going to type 8, enter. And then I'm going to move my cursor below, and then I'm going to type 8, enter. There you have it. So I now have my lighting fixture, and then I just select here modify. So after we place our lighting fixtures on our ceiling, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change my view to floor plan. Okay, so let's go to the floor plan. Why? Because that is where we are going to place our lighting switches. Okay, so I'm going to select this. Okay, so third floor lighting plan. So there you go. So there's our lighting fixture. So let us now go back to our electrical panel, and then here you can see device. Let me just change to my properties window. So there's the device, and then electrical fixture, or sorry, lighting, because we're going to place a lighting switch. So you click that one, and then you click the drop down arrow here, type selector, and then let's look for the three-way switch. So I'm going to select this one, and then this time around, make sure place on vertical face is selected. Why? Because we're going to place our lighting switches to our wall. Okay, so not on the face or ceiling. So make sure place on vertical face is selected. So I'm going to place a couple of lighting switch here. So I'll just place it here. There you go, and then I'm going to place another one here. There you go. Okay, and then I'm going to select and modify. Now, if you're going to observe now the space lighting calculation, like what we did a while ago, so I'm going to select the space here, this one. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So as you can see, under the electrical lighting, so there's the average estimated illumination value is now 67.30 FC, okay, or 744.83 lux, based on the light fixture that you just added. So I'm just showing you here how the space is very important and how the creation of the family for the lighting fixture is very important. So Revit will read that property that you have placed on your lighting fixtures on your space. So it will help you on your design here. So now it's telling you that in this room, you have this average estimated illumination. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is let us create an electrical circuit. Okay, so let's create an electrical circuit, which is not difficult. It's the same way as we created our sprinkler system, our plumbing system, our HVAC system. It's the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to select one of the lighting fixture. Just click one of the lighting fixture, and then here you can see create systems. Okay, so I'm going to select power. So we're going to create a power circuit. And then we're going to select edit circuit. Why? Because we want to select also the other lighting fixtures in this room. So I select edit circuit. Add the circuit is already selected by default. So we are now ready to click the rest of the lighting fixtures in this room. So total of 9 lighting fixtures. Okay, and then after that, so we are going to select panel here to assign our lighting fixture to a panel. So select panel, and then we're going to click now the panel here. So I'm going to select LP3, our lighting panel 3. So I'm going to select this family, click that, and there you go. So it's now added here. So there's our panel, right? And then as you can see, this is now the property of the circuit that we just created. Okay, so I'm now going to select finish editing circuit. There you go. So that's how you create your circuit. So if you're going to hover your pointer to one of the lighting fixture, don't click, just hover your pointer over the lighting fixture, and then you press tab. You can see that it somehow shows you there the connection of your lighting fixtures to your lighting panel 3. Okay, now let us try to explore more. So what we're going to do is let us tag our lighting fixture. So you just need to go to annotate, or I mean you just need to go to your quick access toolbar so you can see tag by category, or you can type TG, that's the shortcut. So select that tag by category or type TG, and then I'm going to remove the leader from the options bar, uncheck that one, and then let us now click our lighting fixtures to tag it. So there you go. So our lighting fixture is alright, and then after that you just need to select modify here. Okay, so if I'm going to select our lighting panel here, the lighting panel 3, the LP3, okay, here you can actually create a panel schedule here. So you can click the drop down arrow, okay, and then you can use default template. It creates a panel schedule for the selected panel using the default template. So just click that one, and then it will help you to create that panel schedule. Okay, there you go. So this is your panel schedule. Okay, and then as you can see, there's an option here. So there's a lot of tools that you can use here, like move across, move up, move to, and one of the option here is rebalance loads. So as you can see here, our A here is 13 amps, our B here it's 12 amps, and our C here is 9 amps. So they are not actually that balanced, right? Our buses A, B, C here, they are not balanced. So if you want to rebalance this automatically, so you can make Revit do it for you by selecting rebalance. So it will balance all the loads on the lighting fixtures. So if I'm going to select rebalance loads, so you can see, you click that. There you go. So it's now balanced. Okay. So if you click that rebalance loads, you will notice that the loads are adjusted to minimize the voltage difference across the buses. Okay, so that's how useful is this one. Of course, you can explore the other options here. So I'm only particular on our rebalance loads here. As you can see, it's already balances. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video for the creating circuits. Now, on the next exercise that I'm going to do is, I'm going to teach you how to create a wiring. Okay, so after learning how to create your circuit, so the next exercise is, let us learn how to create wiring in Revit. Okay, so let's do this. So again, we are still working on the same building. So in this exercise now, we're going to create and work with electrical wiring in our project. So we need to complete the lighting layout in our design. So to do this, so we are going to place lighting fixtures, we are going to generate wiring, and then we're going to create home run wires. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to zoom into this area here. Again, you will notice most part of the building is already populated with wires and fixtures, except for this area here, because this is where we are going to work. Okay, so let's do this. So we're going to place electrical devices. Okay, so from Systems tab, let's go to our devices here, and then let's go to the electrical fixture. Okay, so you click that one, and then we're going to place a duplex receptacle. Our duplex receptacle is a wall-hosted family, so we're going to place that on our wall. So make sure the placement here is placed on vertical face. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to hover my pointer to this wall. I'm going to pick one. So I want to place another one here. So what else? Okay, so I also want to place one here. I want to place one here. Okay, so let's place another one here, and then another one here. Okay, now after placing our electrical fixtures, so we are now going to create a circuit. Okay, so how to create a circuit? Okay, so to create a circuit, I'm going to select one of the fixture that we have placed, which is this one, and then I'm going to create a power circuit. Okay, so let's select that one, And then again, I'm going to select edit circuit, add the circuit. So I'm going to add this fixture, and then this fixture, and then this one here. So these 4 fixture. Okay, and then I'm going to select panel here. So we're going to assign these fixtures to a panel. So I'm going to select panel, and then we're going to assign that to our power panel here, which is this one, PP-1N. So I'm going to select this. Okay, again, it's now populated here on our properties. So this is circuit number 2, and then we have the panel PP-1. Okay, and then the rest of the properties of the design there. Okay, now next, finish. Okay, so let's finish editing circuit. So I'm going to teach you how to automatically circuit our model, how to circuit wiring, automatic circuit wiring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over one of the duplex receptacle that we have created. For example, here, I'm going to hover. Don't click, just hover your pointer over that, and then press tab. There you go. So once you see that one, that dash lines, just click it. So once you click, okay, so you are now able to select here, convert to wire. Okay, so I'm going to use here arc wire. Okay, so let's click this one. There you go. So you just created now your wiring. So of course you can still edit this one. So you see there's a home run here. So I'm going to click that home run, and then I'm gonna adjust it here. I'm going to point it to my PP1-N. There you go, something like that. Okay. So there's our home run. So that's how you generate automatic circuit wiring. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is you can also tag this. Okay, you can select tag by category. Just click that one without the leader line. So I'm going to click that so that I know what is the circuit number. So I'll tag the home run. There you go, and then I'll just select here modify. Now, so that's how you generate it automatically, the wiring. Of course, you can just do it manually. Okay, so to do it manually, just go to the systems. And then after that, you can select here wire. So you can click that drop down arrow so you can see the options here. So what I'm going to use is arc wire. So I'll use that arc wire. I'm going to use THWN type of wire. Okay, and then let us wire this one. So make sure you click on the connector. So let's say this one here. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's say this one here. So I'm going to click this. So make sure that's the one. You click that connector. You click. Okay, so that's the first point. And then I'm going to click here to make it an arc. So I click there. And then I'm going to click another one here. There you go. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to connect as well this one here. Okay, on our 105 here. So I'm going to connect. So let's connect. So you click that point, pick one point here, and then you click another point here. There you go. Okay. So if you want, you can also continue wiring. So you can click from here to here and then here. Okay. So if you want to display a wire tick marks, you can actually load it into your project. So let me show you. So let me go to modify to terminate the tool. So let's load a tick mark. So I go to insert. And then let's go to load family, and then let's look for our tick mark. So I think it's on the annotation, electrical tick marks. Okay, so I'm going to load, let's say, long wire tick mark. So let's load this one, and then select open. There you go. So now that it's loaded, so you need to edit the electrical settings of your project. So you need to go to the systems, you need to select the electrical settings there. You click that, and then after that, you need to go to the wiring, and then there you go. So there's our tick marks here: hot wire, ground wire, and neutral. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the drop down arrow. I load that long wire tick mark. Okay, there you go. And then just select OK. And then you will now see there's the tick mark that I'm talking about, right? So here, you can select plus if you want to add a tick mark. Okay? Right. So you can minus your tick mark, you can add tick mark. Oops. Right. Okay. So again, you can find that on your electrical settings, and then wiring, and then there's your tick mark. So you can show tick marks always here, and you can actually have never home runs and wire home runs. So in my case, I just select show the tick marks always. So I select here, okay. So that's how you show your tick mark. Now, if you want to create a manual home run, because this home run here, we created this automatically, right? So if you want to create a home run manually, so you can do that. So you can click a wire, and then let's say here, I'm going to click to this point. I'm going to click another point here, and then I'm going to click another one here. Just like that. So there's your home run, okay? You can type that. You can type TG. So as you can see, it's on circuit number 1, right? Okay. And you can also create a multiple circuit home run. Okay, so what you can do is you can actually connect this to this one here. Okay, you can do that. So if you want to create a multiple circuit home run, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, and then you drag that point, and then you connect that to this one. There you go, and then you will now see here this one here. So it's updated. Okay, our tag is now updated, so it becomes circuit 1 and 2. So the circuit 1 and 2 is pointing to that power panel. Okay, so after you connect that from circuit 1 to power circuit 2, so now it's updated. All right, so basically that's how you create your wiring in Revit. So again, it's not that difficult. Just make sure you have the correct family inserted, and you're good to go. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. How to monitor changes in linked files. So we're going to working with architects and engineers. So in many projects, so you will collaborate with other design and engineering professionals to facilitate your design. So in this topic, we are going to talk about on how to monitor the changes in linked files. Okay, so as you can see, I already have the exercise open. Again, if you want to have this exercise file, you just need to comment your email address on the comment section below of this video. All right, so in this exercise, we're going to monitor a link file of another discipline. So as an MEP engineer, you want to take advantage of project sharing by linking a Revit structure file in your MEP project. Then after that, we're going to coordinate the two disciplines, and you also want to monitor structural levels so that Revit MEP displays a warning when the floor-to-floor height changes. So this ensures that you are aware of space changes while creating the MEP design. Okay, so we're going to do the following. So we're going to link the Revit structure file. We're going to monitor the levels in the linked file. We're going to reload and modify we're going to reload the modified Revit structure file, and then we're going to perform coordination review. All right, so let's do this. So the first thing that we're going to do, as you can see, I have here my MEP project. So I'm going to link a structural file, okay? So to do that, I'm going to select Insert tab, and then I'll select Link Revit, okay? So let's click this one, so it links another Revit model to current project, or to current model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link, let's say, for example, this is the structural model from the structural engineer side. So I'm going to link this to my MEP project. So this is my MEP project. I have my own levels here. So let's see, linking this one. So I'm just going to use internal origin to origin, okay? So let me just select here, open, and let's just wait. And there you go. Okay, so as you can see, I now have here my link model, which is this one. So this is the link model. So there's the link model, and then I also have the MEP project. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to monitor the levels in link file. So what is this monitoring? So to monitor your levels, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the collaborate tab, and then here you can see the coordinate panel, and then there's the copy monitor. Okay, so we will be selecting select link. Okay, so that's the option that we will be using because we're going to select our link model. Okay, so let's select this one. And then make sure you select the link, which is this one. So select the link model, click that one, and there you go. So you are now on the copy monitor tool. So what we will be doing is we're going to monitor the levels in the link file. So this is the monitor tool. So as you can see, it says it establishes relationships between pairs of corresponding elements. So it should be pair. So it should be, since we're going to monitor the levels in our Revit project, so we're going to select in pair the level of the link model and then the level of our current project. So this tool establishes a monitoring relationship between two elements of the same type. That's why we'll be selecting a couple of levels here, levels of the link and levels of the current project. So what does it do? So if an element changes, a warning alerts you when you open the project or reload the link model. So in case they updated the structural model, they changed something on the level, they changed the height, you will be informed when you open the project or reload the link model. So that is what the monitoring tools do. Okay, so it's really important when doing coordination. So I'm going to select the monitor, and then let's select the link, or I mean the MEP project level, click, and then you select also your link model level. So just click that one. There you go. So as you can see, here's now the icon for monitor. So meaning to say our level 1 here for link, and then the project or the MEP project is already now being monitored. So I'll be doing that as well on my other levels here. So level 2, okay, so third floor, level 3, roof level, and then the level 4 here, okay? Right, so after that, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to reload the modified Revit structure file. So let's say, for example, the structural side, they have updated the structural model. So we need to have that. So I'm going to reload it, okay? So I'm going to finish this one first. Okay, so right now, the next thing that we're going to do is, let's say they have the updated Revit structure model. So we want to update our MEP project. So how to reload? So you just need to go to your project browser, look for the Revit links. Okay, and then you just plus. So you can see now the link model there. So just right click that one, or aside from going here on the project browser, you can also go to the insert, you look for the manage links, and then from the Revit tab, you can see your link model there. So from here, you can select reload from, because you need to locate the new updated model. Okay, so you have a couple of options. So you can go to the manage links, look for the Revit tab, the link, and then reload from, or just simply go to the project browser, look for Revit links, right click the link that you want to be updated, and then after that, just select reload from. Okay, so just click that one, and then after that, let's say this is the updated, the structural model that they have updated. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one, and then I'm going to select open. Okay, and now you can see that there's a warning here. So what does this warning says? So it says that instance of link needs coordination review. Okay, so Revit is now telling you that, hey, there's changes that happens in your link model. Okay, so we're going to perform a coordination review. So where's this coordination review? So I'm going to close this one. That's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select collaborate tab again. And obviously here, you can see there are some changes, right? So for the name and also the height of your link model here, the levels. But anyway, so let's go to the collaborate tab, and then let's see what is the changes. So let's select link. So there's the coordination review, select link, and then let's select the link model. So just click that one, and it will now open the coordination review. So here you can now see all the changes that they have done on the link model. So you can perform coordination review here. So if I'm going to expand this one, as you can see, the levels is our issue. So maintain position, so there's the changes. So the level moved by 6 inches. So if I expand this one, I can click this, where is this level? So there you go, so that's level 3. That's level 3, and you also find here the ID number, okay? So the ID number. So here you can see, there you go, so there you go. So you also have this, there you go. And then after that, you have their actions that you can do. Okay, so here, an action, and you also have a comment here. So in our coordination review window, okay, you can select from a set of options available under the action. So you have here what? If you click the drop down, so you have postpone, you have reject, you have accept difference, and then you have move level to third floor, since we are checking on the level 3 here. So postpone is like doing nothing. Okay, so it's like this option takes no action on the element. Okay, so this changes the message status so that the warning can be filtered out or considered later. The other one is reject. Okay, so this option is used when there is a difference between an element in the host file and its associated monitored element. All right, so the difference is because the change made to the element in the host file is incorrect, and a change must be made to the associated monitored element. The other one is accept difference. So this option accepts the change made to the element and updates the relationship. So for example, if a pair of grids were 8 inches apart and one was moved away by 12 inches, the change would be accepted and the relationship will be set to 12 inches. Okay, and then after that, you also have another other options here like move, because they have moved the level. And then if you rename it, you can also see here rename. If they modify, you can see here also modify. It just so happened that they have moved the level. That's why you have an option here if you want to move it. So this option name changes based on the action. So if the name of the monitored element has changed, the option here is rename. So if a column or a level is moved, so the option is move, just like what we have here. So if a grid is changed or moved, the option is modify, something like that. Okay, so basically you can select actions, and you can also add a comment. So after you select the appropriate option for each warning, so you can add comments on the action taken. So this helps you communicate with other cross-functional team members. So like for example, as an architect, you can communicate to the structural engineer. So your comments are visible when the link is reloaded. Okay, and then you also have an option here if you want to highlight the elements. So there's a show, and then after that you have a create report here. Let's say after you put a comment, so let's say I'm gonna put a comment here, add comment. Let's say structural engineer change the level height, or whatever comment that you want to put. Okay, so you can put a comment there. Okay, and then if you're not sure, you can actually create a report for that, and then you can show it on your team when you do a coordination meeting. So you can create a report. It's an HTML file, so like that. So let's say I'll just put it on the desktop here. So this is the report HTML. So I just save. Okay, so it's now created. So let me just quickly show you where is that. So desktop, this is the one. So this is the report that I'm talking about. Okay, so as you can see, this is the issues, and then as you can see here also the comment made by me. All right, so that's how important your coordination review. Okay, so now for this exercise, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select move. So okay, so that's my action for this one. So I want to follow what the structural engineer did. Okay, on my side, because I just need to follow them. Okay, so I'm the MEP, so I'm just going to follow them. So I'm just going to select move level to third floor. Okay, so I just select that one. So that's my action for this, and then I just select here as well, move, and then move. All right. Okay, so after that, if I'm going to apply this, you will notice my level here now will follow. So I select apply. Let's see. And still reading, regenerating. There you go. Okay, so never mind this one. I'll just select OK to close this warning. And there you go. So now you don't have any more issue. Okay, so notice that the levels here, the level lines move, and the distance between them is the same as that before the file was reloaded. So it's not the same, right? Okay, so basically that's how you use your coordination review tool. Okay, so it's really important for you to be able to understand this type of collaboration, and also it's important for you to learn how to copy and monitor elements. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or anything that you want to ask, you can put it in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, so thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Learning with Rich here. In this video, we are going to learn how to check and fix interference conditions using Revit 2021. Okay, so we are not going to use Navisworks for this one, but we are going to use the option in Revit MEP 2021 or Revit 2021. Okay, so in this exercise, we're going to run an interference check on a building to identify and fix interference conditions. So you have created the MEP design for a multi-story conference center, and let's say you want to identify and fix interference conditions, right? So for this, we are going to run the interference check, and then we're going to learn how to export the report and fix some interference conditions. So we are going to run an interference check, and then we're going to select different elements. Okay, so basically we are going to fix interference between air terminals and lighting fixtures, and also we are going to fix interferences between ducts and pipe. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to fix is the interference between the air terminals and lighting fixtures. So how to run the interference check in Revit. Okay, so to do that, it has something to do with collaboration. So that's why you just need to go to Collaborate tab. And then after that, there's the Coordinate panel. You can now see here Interference Check. So just click the drop-down arrow, and then just fire away the Run Interference Check option. So just click that one. And from here, you'll be able to see two columns. Okay, so it's like column A, and then you have a column B. So as you can see here from the categories from, it says here current project. As you can see, at the moment, you can only select one category here, which is the current project. So from here, you just need to select the category that you want to check interference with. So like, for example, we're going to check the interference between the air terminals. Just click that one. Okay, and then let's look for lighting fixtures. Okay, you can actually use the option here, the selection option. So you can click all. It will highlight all the categories, and then you click one box. So what happens is it will select all the categories, right? So you can also select none to deselect it. There you go. So let's say I'm going to select duct fittings. I'm going to hold shift and then click the flex duct. So you can also use that selection or type of selection by holding your shift. And you can also use control. So you click one category, and then you can select, or I mean, you can hold control, and then you can select one by one the category that you want, and you can also deselect that if you want. Okay. So there's also invert here. So let's say, for example, I select all the flex ducts. So if I want to invert the selection, I can select invert. There you go. So I can uncheck this one. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to select here the air terminals and then the lighting fixtures. Okay, and then after that, let's select here OK. All right, so there you go. So this is now our interference report. So as you can see, it is grouped by this option, category 1 and category 2. And then you also have another group by category 2 and then category 1. So basically, it's just the same. So we have the category of air terminals, and then clashes with the air terminal is the lighting fixtures here. So we have lighting fixtures, and then this is the clashes that we have here. So if you're going to select, for example, the air terminal, you will notice this is actually the clash here. So there's the air terminal. As you can see, it's highlighted. So if I'm going to zoom in there, you see if I select this one, it also highlights that one. So same with this clash here, and then this clash here. Well, let's say, for example, the project is too big. You can just simply see where's the clashes. No worry, because you can click one of the clash, and then there's an option here, show. So if you click that, it will zoom into that particular category or particular clash. If you're going to select show again, it will open up other view. You can select OK here. it will open up another set of view for that one. There you go. So if you select show again, it will open another set of view where it shows that particular clash. Show again. So it will show you different views for that particular clash. Floor plan or in 3D view and in other view. Okay? Right. Well, anyway, I'm just going to go back again to level 2. As you can see, even if the interference report dialog box is here or open, you can still actually go back to your floor plan to select other views. Okay? Now, so same with the lighting fixtures. Okay? So as you can see, there's the lighting fixtures, and then you can also see here the ID. Okay? You can also use the search ID if you want to find this particular air terminal. But no need to do that because you can click that one and then you can select export. Right. And now you can also export, I mean show. You can also export this if you want to create a report. You can click export, and then it will just save the file as an HTML file. So let's say I'm just going to override this one. So I'm going to select save here. Yes. Okay. And then let me now go to that particular exercise file. Where did I save that one? Okay. So let me just go to Revit. Okay. So I can't find it. So I'm just going to export again. I'll just put it on my desktop. I'll just, okay. So this is interference report. Okay. And then save. And then let's open that one. So let's go to my desktop. Interference report. There you go. So here's the report now. All right. So you can also create or you can also export the interference report. Okay. So this is now the interference report. So interference report is very useful if you want to check your model if it is clashing with another discipline. Okay. So now let's say, for example, I'm going to fix this one. So let's say what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the air terminal, for example. So I'm going to move the air terminal. I'm going to click that air terminal, and then I'm going to move that, move, pick, and then I place it here. Okay. Or whatever. Or wherever you want to place that one, so you can just move that as long as it's not clashing with the other discipline. Okay, so let's say, for example, you are now done with the clash. You already fixed that. So you can now use refresh here to see. There you go. So after I refresh here, you can see that there is no clashes here anymore. Okay, so that's what you do. So you fix the clash, and then you refresh the interference report. So by doing this, it will minimize your coordination when you do it on the Navisworks, because in Revit, you already use the interference checking. Now, so there is another way to run the interference report or to run the interference check. So let's say I'm going to open the 3D view. Let's say, oh no, not that one. How about this one? Okay, so I'll use this one, the room 214. So another way of using your interference check is by selecting the objects. Like for example, you can select just one area, for example, just this area of the clash. Okay, no need for you to concentrate in one whole building. Okay, you can just simply select portion of the building, and then from there you can concentrate the clash detection or interference checking. So after you select, you just go to collaborate, interference check, run interference check, and then you can now see here from the categories from, if you click here, you now have two options. So a while ago we have current project, so now you have an option here, current selection. So current selection meaning it will only show you here all the elements that you have selected on your view. So it's now showing these elements here. So let's say I want to check the clashes between the pipes and then the ducts. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to click one of the box to deselect it. So I want to select only the ducts and pipes. Oh, sorry. So ducts on this side, and then pipes on this side here. Okay, so ducts and pipe. So I select here OK, and there you go. So we have a clash here. So see, there's a clash. So there's a clash. There's our. Let me just turn on the thin lines. Let me change the detail level to fine, and there you go. So as you can see, there's a clash, right? So it's obvious there's a clash there. See, there's a clash. So if I click this one, there's a clash. There's the pipe. Okay, so there's a clash there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this by changing the height of my pipe. So I'm going to click one of the pipe. So I escape. I click the pipe, and then I'll just lower it. So let's say I'm going to change the middle elevation like 8 feet. 8 feet. 8 feet. Enter. Oops, I think it's too low, so I'm going to cancel this one. So I click the pipe. How about 9 feet? There you go. So it's now moved down. So so it's not clashing anymore. So let us refresh again if there's a clash. There you go. So no more clash. So basically that's how you fix the interference in your project by using interference check by Revit 2021. So hopefully you learned something from this video. This will going to be help you instead of using another software like Navisworks. You can actually do the clash detection in your Revit 2021 project. All right. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Discussion on Revit MEP 2021. In this exercise, we are going to create a callout view of a section to display more detail. So you are designing electrical plans for a multi-story building. So you need to create a callout view to show wall-mounted electrical panels in more detail than is shown by the building section. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. So let's learn how to create a callout view of a section. Okay, to display more detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the section view here, which is section 18. So this is going to be a quick video. Okay, and then in this view, we're now going to create a callout. So callout has something to do with the view. So you already have a hint there. So you need to go to the view tab, and then that's your callout. Okay, so it creates a rectangular callout in the view. So callouts isolate a specific portion of the model geometry to show a greater level of detail. So reference callouts allows the same view to be referenced more than one time in a project. So I'm going to select this one, callout. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a callout, let's say, of my panels here. So this area here. So I'm going to pick my first point here, and then I'm going to pick another point here. There you go. Okay, and then I select here modify. So by the way, you can select the boundary of your callout, and then as you can see, you have different nodes there that you can use to resize the shape or the boundary of your callout. So you can use that one to resize it, and you can even reposition your call out bubble here. So like you can drag that, or you can create an elbow. You can click that, and then you can create an elbow of your call out. Now you will notice our call out bubble here doesn't have any detail. Well, it's because the call out that you have created is not yet placed inside the sheets or the sheet. Okay, so that's the reason why it's empty. But you will notice later on, after we place the call out that you created, using this command, you'll be able to see a detail there once we insert this call out inside the sheet. Okay, so now from the project browser, if I'm going to expand the detail views here, so you'll be able to see there the call out view that we just created. Okay, so you can hover your pointer to the call out, and then you can look at the lower left corner here on your status bar to know what is the name of this view. As you can see, if I'm going to hover and look at the lower left corner, so it will tell you that that's view, detail 0, right? So as you can see, it's there on our detail views, detail 0. So to open the call out, it's either you double click this name from the project browser, or you can just double click the head here. Just double click that, or you can click the call out, right click, and then you can select there, go to view. Okay, if you click that, as you can see, it will open up the detail 0 as if you already double click from the project browser. So this is how it looks like. So this is now your call out. So you can click the boundary of your call out, and then you can just adjust that one, just like that, to add more detail to your call out. Okay, and then from here you can add additional annotation or text if you want to add more details to your call out. Okay, now the next thing that we are going to do after we create the call out is let us open up our sheet here. So from the project browser, so there's the Sheets E601 panel schedule. So let me double click that one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the call out that I have created. Okay, so there's my call out here. So I'm going to change the name by right clicking that and then selecting rename. Okay, so let's rename this. So let's say this is call out of section 18. Okay, so I'm going to insert that inside the sheet here by simply drag and dropping the call out of section 18 in your sheet here. So just drag and drop, just like that. Okay, so there's your call out. So just place it. Okay, so it's too small, so you can change the scale here. Okay, so you just click and then go to the properties here, and then you can change the scale here. Okay, so let's say I'm going to select 1 inch is to 10 feet. Oh, I don't want that scale, so how about 1 inch to 1 foot? There you go. So just drag that. Okay, and then your title here, if you want to move this separately from the view here, because if you're going to drag that viewport, as you can see, the title also move, right? So if you just want to move your title and then place it nicely somewhere here, you just need to click that separately. So just click that one, and then you can now drag that to that portion there. So if you want to resize that line there, so you need to click the viewport, just click that, and then you can now click that blue node to change the size, okay? Right, so basically this is now your callout inserted inside your sheet. Now, if I'm going back to my section 18, you will notice here that our callout bubble now has a detail, okay? So now it says here E6011, okay? So meaning to say the callout that you have created can be found on sheet E601, detail number is 6. So you can go to the sheet E601, just double click that, and then just look for detail number 1, which is this one. So basically this is that one, because sometimes you insert several or a few callouts inside your sheets here. Now for you to be able to know, or for you to be able to point out where is that callout that you have created, so you need to look at the detail number, and then you go to the sheet where you have inserted that, and then look for the detail number, which is 1. So this is now that particular callout. Okay, so again, like what I have said earlier, you can also add some text here to add more information to your callout view. Alright, so that's it for creating your callout. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so once again, thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Learn how to create a detail view. So last video, we have learned how to create a callout view. So this time around, it's detail view. So in this exercise, we need to create an electrical riser diagram to indicate how the electrical panels are connected. So you use a building model to create a detail view of the electrical panels. So you tag the electrical panels, add detail lines, text notes, and callouts. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. So we'll be creating a section view. We're going to add tags to electrical panels. We're going to add detail lines to connect the electrical panels, and add text notes and callouts. Okay, so let's do this one. So as you can see, I'm here on the level 2 power plant. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a section. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into this part here. So I want to create a detail view of this portion here. So I'm going to create a section. So from the quick access toolbar, so there's the section. So let's select that one. Let's check the properties. So I'm creating a detail view section. The type is detail view. So I'm going to pick one point here, and then I'm going to pick another point here, and it's looking to the side there. So I'm going to flip that to look to the left side. There you go. And then I'll just adjust this. Okay. Right. Okay, so by the way, if you want to have this exercise file, so you just need to put a comment in this video and then just put your email address there, and then I'll be sending you the exercise file so that you'll be able to follow it. Okay, so after we create the section, so I'm going to open now the section. Okay, so I'm going to click, right click, and then I'm going to select go to view. All right, so go to view, and there you go. So by the way, on my project browser here, I'm going to expand the detail views here because that is our detail view. So let us rename this one. I'm going to call this electrical riser diagram. Okay, enter. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to adjust this one. I want to see also the other panels above. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now we are going to add tags to our electrical panels. Okay, so let's put some tag here. So from the quick access toolbar, I'm going to select tag by category, click that one, and then I do not want to add a leader line here, so I uncheck that. And then I'm just going to, how about I make it vertical? Okay, so instead of horizontal, so I can have a space there. There you go. So you just need to pick the electrical panel that you have placed. All right, so let's pick that one. There you go. And then select modify. Okay, now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to add detail lines to connect the electrical panels. Since this is just a detailing, the lines that we will be creating is just a 2D. Okay, you will not be able to see this in 3D view. All right, so we will be using a detail lines here. So I select the annotate here, right, and then from the detail panel, so you can now see there the detail line. So let's select the detail line. So as you can see, this is only you can only see this on the view where you have created it, because this one is a view specific line. So if I draw it on my section view, I can only see the detail line on the section view. You will not be able to see that in other view. If you draw your detail line in the floor plan, you will only see that on the floor plan. That's what view specific lines means. Okay, so I select detail line. And then I'm going to select the type here. So make sure I select here the wide lines. So I click that wide lines. Okay, so before that, let me just cancel this one first. I'll just adjust this one. Okay, let me just adjust this. Right. Oh, something like this. All right. So let me go back again to the detail line, wide lines. So I want to show a connection for my panel, PP and P2. Okay, and then I'll just trim that. Trim, extend to corner, and there you go. Okay, so there's the representation that this EP and P2 is connected. So I'm now going to add more details to here. So same with my panel here. So again, detail line, so I connect and then place it here and then place one there. Okay, and I also wanted to show this connection here. Here we go. And then from my LP, I want that to be connected on my LP1. Oops. Just tidy up your drawing. Okay, so detail line, so where else? Okay, so I want to connect my PP-1 and to my transformer here. Okay, so same with this here. You can use, you can select the lines and then you can use the arrow to move or to nudge the details, the detail line. Okay, so let's create one again. Right, connect. There you have it. Okay, so what else? Okay, so I want to connect my LP1 to the T-1. Okay, so you get the idea. So you just connect it. Right. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create another detail line. So let me just adjust the boundary of my section here. I want to do something here. Okay, so I select again the detail line, wide lines, and then I'll be using a rectangle here. The rectangle, and then I'll just approximate. So right, just like that. Okay. Okay, so let's say I'm just gonna put the size here. Okay, so I'll just put 4 feet by 3 feet. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then after that, let us put another lines. So let's select the line, right click, create similar. Okay, so let's create one here. Connect, connect. There you go. Connect. There you go. And then I'm going to select this line and then just nudge it to the right. So I want to add more details. So select that line. You can type CS to create similar. CS. So let's say this is going to be my ground here. It would be better if you have a family here for this type of, like for example, for this ground here or for this symbol. Okay, and then the next thing that we are going to do after we show the connection, after we add some detail lines, so let's add some text notes. Okay, so I'm going to add the text here. So I select the text, and then the size of the text. Okay, so I'll just use this one. I can change the size later on if I can see that it's too small or it's too big. I can just change from here. Okay, I can create one if I want to have a new type of text. So for now, I'm just going to make sure that no leader here is selected, and then I'm going to pick here, and then I call this utility trans socket. Okay, then I'll just click outside. There you go. Right. So the text here is too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new type. So edit. So create. So how about I select here, okay, and then I'll type the text here. How about 200 mm? Let's try this one. Okay, so it's 2 mm. So it's too big. So 2 mm. Okay. It's still big. Okay, so how about 1 mm? Enter. Okay, so I think this one is about right. There you go. Okay, so I select this one and then edit type. Let's rename this. Okay, so this is 1 mm aerial or whatever size that you want. Okay, so you can just, that's how you create it. Okay, so now after that, let us add some more details. So let's say, for example, here. So I'm going to add text. So text to pad mount transformer. So, oops, sorry. Click that. And let's put here. All right, so I'll just change the justification. I select align right. Then I'll just make it like this. Just nice. There you go. Okay, and then let us add some more details. So like here. So I'm going to change the text here with a leader. So I call this is our ground rod. Okay. Right. So aside from that, aside from changing the text type here, you may want to change also the scale here if you do not want to create a new type of text like the one that I did because it doesn't look nice. Some of the text here is quite big compared to that one. So maybe I can just change the scale here. So how about 1 inch to 1 foot? Let's try this one. Okay, so that one is too small. Okay, how about 332? 1 inch. No, 1/4. Okay, so I think 1/4 inch to 1 foot, and then I'll just change this type. So I'll just put the default one, the 3/32 inch aerial. Then let's just adjust it. Okay, so that it's tidy. All right, so basically that's how you create details to your model. Okay, so you can create a section and then you can add details by using the annotate tab here, and then here you can find the detail tab, detail panel, and then from here you can use the detail line. Okay, so on our next exercise, we're going to learn how to create a drafting view. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. The drafting view. Okay, so drafting views provide a 2D detailed drawing of a specific part of the building model. So in the drafting view, you can use 2D detailing tools such as detail lines, detail regions, detail components, installation, reference planes, dimensions, symbols, and text. So drafting views are drawn and not modeled. So for example, a drafting view of a typical diffuser connection does not include the diffuser and duct elements, but shows only the lines that represent the diffuser and the duct. Okay, so in drafting view, you include only the elements that you either create using 2D detailing tools or importing from the standard CAD detail library. Okay, so you can also create drafting view at different view scales and detail levels. So you can also save the drafting views and reuse them across the project. Okay, and then also you can place the drafting view on a drawing sheet by just dragging the view to the sheet, which is similar to placing a floor plan. And drafting views are saved with the project and are listed under the drafting views in the project browser, which what I'm going to show you in this exercise. Okay, so for this exercise, we need to provide a detailed drawing of the roof drains on a multi-story building. So to do so, we're going to create a drafting view. Okay, so we will be placing a detail component that represents a roof drain, and then we're going to add filled regions and detail lines to represent roof construction, and then we're going to mirror the detail components in our view, and then we're going to modify instance of the roof drain component, and then we will be adding dimensions to the detail components. Okay, so let's place a detail component representing our roof drain. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go to the view tab because we need to create a drafting view. So that's the drafting view. Just click that one, and then you specify the name here. So let's say I'm going to call this roof and overflow drain. All right. Okay, and then I'll just use the default scale here, and then I'll just select here. Okay, so as you can see, you now have a blank drafting view added to our project browser. If you go to the project browser, it's now here under the drafting views. That's the one. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to place a reference plane. You can type RP, that's the shortcut for reference plane, or you can go to architecture and then look for the reference plane. So you can click that one, and then I'll just create a vertical reference plane here, just like that, modified. The exact location is not critical, just create a vertical reference plane. Now the next thing that we're going to do is let's insert now our detail component. The detail component that will represent the roof drain. So let's go to the annotate tab, and then there's the component drop down, and then we will be using detail component. So I select this one, and this is the detail component that we want to use. Okay. Again, if you want to have this exercise file, you can just put a comment on the comment section below, and then I'll be sending you an email, or just give me the email address, and then I'll be sending it through your email. Okay. So just put one here, and then I select here modify. Okay. So now I want that to have a distance from my reference plane here. So just simply select that 2D element, and then you can specify here the distance. So let's say I want around 380 millimeters. So I put mm, and then enter. Okay. So that's it. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add filled region and detail lines to represent the roof construction. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to select the field region here, this one. So there's the field region, so let's click this, and then you will notice it becomes gray. You are now on the create field region boundary. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create now the boundary of my insulation. Okay, so I'm going to create a rectangular outline that represents the outline of the rigid insulation layer. Okay, so I'm going to use this line tool, thin lines. Okay, and then let us now draw the roof insulation. So I'm going to start here. So I'm going to pick here. Then I'm going to pick one here. Then I'm going to move down. I'm going to type 50 mm. Enter. There we go. And then I'm going to move my pointer here. Then I'll use the peak lines option. So let me just create one line here, and then I'll use the peak lines option. So I'm gonna pick this line here. Okay, so I can select that. So maybe I'll just create one here, and then I use the trim because when you create a field region, it should be close, no intersection, and no overlapping. Okay, so we're going to create one here. So I'm going to create one here. That's it. Oh, sorry, it should be just somewhere here, just like that. And then let's trim this, like that, and like that. Okay. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the line type of this line that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this line here, and then I do not want this to be shown when I create the field region, so that's why I'm going to change the line. So I select that one. So I'm going to change the line style. I'm going to make that invisible lines. Okay, so I select that. Okay, and then from the properties, I will be using here ortho cross hatch small. So that's the type of the hatch that I want to this portion. And I also want to make this invisible line, so I select this. I change the line style, and then I select invisible lines, just like that. Okay, and then ortho cross hatch small, so I just check the finish. And that's it. So as you can see, it's invisible here. See that line there? It's invisible. So this portion we can see it. Okay. Now let's activate again our field region tool. So I'm going to select again the field region. So I want to create a roof membrane layer representation. So I select again the field region, and then I'll be using rectangle here. And then I'm gonna pick one point, and then I'm gonna pick another point here. Okay. And then I want this to be like 7 mm thick. So I'm going to select this line here, and then I'll click this and then change that to 7 mm. Enter. There you go. Okay. So I want this line to be invisible as well, so that when we mirror this later on, it will look like it's continuous because it's invisible line here. So I want that to be changed to invisible lines. There you go. Okay, so now for the type of the field region, so instead of ortho crosshatch small, so I'm going to change that to sand very dense. So I want that to be the pattern of this field region here, so I select finish, and there you go. Okay, so now, the next thing that we're going to do, let's use a detail line. So let us add more detail to our drafting view. So I'm going to go ahead and select detail line. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to add more detail here. Just a line will do. So I'm going to pick one here, or just start here. One. Make sure it's chained so that you'll be creating it continuously. So pick one point here, and then I pick another point all the way here, and then just escape. Okay, and then I'm going to copy these two lines that I have created. So click one, hold control, and then click the other line, and then copy. I'm going to copy that 2 millimeters up. So 2 mm, enter. There you go. Okay. Right, now the next thing that we're going to do after we add details, so we are now going to mirror this to the other side. So let's say, for example, this is now the details that I want for my roof drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror that right side. So I'm going to select from here. You select right, left to right. Okay, left to right selection, so that you'll be selecting the details that you have created, and then we'll be using mirror peak axis. I want that to be mirrored to the other side. So click, and there you go. Okay, and then after that, let us add break line here. Okay, so let's add the break line. So again, I'll be using my, sorry, not that, detail component, and then let's look for our type selector. So instead of roof drain, I'll be using break line. So click the break line, and then you can press space bar to rotate that, and then let's place one here. There you go. So there's our break line. So you can adjust that one if you want. You can adjust the break line. Okay, you can adjust it. Okay, right. Okay, so after creating the break line, so we're now going to mirror this whole side here, the left side to the right side here. So let's select that. Okay, select all the elements except the reference plane, and then let's use draw mirror peak axis. Okay, so mirror peak axis, and then let's select the reference plane, and then select modify here. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to modify an instance of the roof drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this one here, and then after that, let us modify it. So as you can see, there's a ring height. So I want to change the ring height here. So I'm going to make that, let's say, 2 inches. So 2 inches, enter, and then it's now changed here. Okay, and then let's add dimension to the detail component. So let's add dimension to finish up our our annotating. So let's place a line dimension, and then let's place one here, and then I'm going to add one here. So there you go, and then modify, and then you can click your dimension, and then you can click that blue node to drag it, to move it away so that you can see it nicely. Okay, so after we add some dimension to that particular area, so let's put a center line dimension here. So I'm going to go ahead and select again the line dimension. So let's click from here to here. Oops. Okay, so it's here from here. Okay. Let's close this one. All right. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change this type of dimension. So I click that one, and then let's edit type selector, and then after that, let's look for center line symbol here. Okay, center to center. I select center line. Okay, so center line symbol. Select center line, and then okay, so that it will show you there the center line symbol. Okay, and there you have it. Okay, so if you want to add more details to this one, you can just put some text. You can put some dimension, which is what we're going to do on our exercise. On our next exercise, wherein we're going to annotate our elements, our detail elements. Okay, so basically that's how you create your drafting view. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. What's up, guys? Learning with Rich here. In this video, we are going to add text in our drafting view to illustrate the standard piping detail. So in addition, we're going to add text and tags in a plan view to annotate the building elements. So we'll be talking about text and tags in this topic. So after we learned from our last video how to create a drafting view, so we'll be doing the following. So we're going to add text to our detail view. We're going to add text and tags to our model view, and then I'm going to show you how to modify a tag type simple modification. All right, so let's do this. So what I'm going to do is here's our exercise. So we're going to start by placing an annotation, a text. So I'm going to go ahead and select the text here. The shortcut is TX. So you can click it here from your quick access toolbar. So let's click that one. So by the way, your text can also be found here on the annotate tab, and then you can select the text here. But since the text, we always use this most of the time, so it's here on our quick access toolbar for easy access. So I'm going to select the text here, and then from the properties, I'll be using 3/32" Arial type of text, and then I'm going to use here a center alignment, this one. So from the modify place text contextual tab, so I'm going to select align center, and then I'll be using here 2 segments. Okay, so it adds a leader line consisting of 2 straight line segments. So I'm going to select this one, and then let us now start placing the text. So let's say I'm going to place one here. So I'm going to pick here 1, and then I'm going to pick another point here 2. There you go. Okay, and then after that, so let us now add our text. So let's say I want to call this pipe. So I'm going to type pipe, and then I'll just click outside. Okay, and then modify. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is you can actually still click that one if you want, and then you can click that move, and then you can rearrange the leader line. So it's up to you. Now if you want to add another leader to the right side, so let's say this is the illustration for your text or for your pipe here. So you just need to select again the text that you created, and then from the leader panel, so there is this option. So you can add a leader line to the left side again, or to the right side, or you can even remove the last leader line that you have placed. So that if you click several times, it will add a leader line. So if you want to remove those, so it will you just need to click remove last leader continuously until it removes the leader line that you want to remove. Okay, so now I'm going to move this one. So I want that to be pointing here because that's also my pipe, and then arrange it like this. Okay, so let us complete the text here. So I'm going to select again text, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a leader line here again. So this one. So let's say I'm just going to point it here, gonna click here and then here. So let's say I'm gonna put here support C specifications. Oops, specifications. Then just click outside and then modify. And then you can again click the text and then you can resize that. Okay, something like that. Right, and then you can click that and then you can move again. So you can also reposition the leader line on our left side. So you can put that at the middle, you can put that at the bottom left, or you can put that at the top left. Okay, so let us add another leader line to the right side. So I click this. I'm gonna put here. There it goes. And then I want that to be tidy, just like this one. I want that to be placed at the top right. Okay, so just like that, and then just arrange it. So let's say I'm just gonna point it somewhere here, and there you go. Okay, so let me add another leader line. So I pick that, and then I'm going to point here, arrange that. So I want to create another right side leader line, and then let's say I want to point it here. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, so let us add more text. So I click the text again, 2 segments. So let's say this is my roof membrane. So I'm going to put there roof membrane. Okay, and then let me just pick this one and then rearrange like this. There you go. Okay, and then let us add some more details here. So text, leader line, and then oops. Now I'm going to go ahead and select no leader. So I want to place one text here. So installation shall be per roof manufacturer's recommendations. Let's click that one. So maybe I want to resize that, something like this. Okay, and then let us add some more annotation here. Text, 2 segments. I pick one here. Okay, and then pick one here. So I just put provide additional layer of roof membrane type support applications per manufacturer's recommendation. Okay, recommendations. Right, and then again, I'm just going to resize this. And then I'm going to click this, and then I'll change the justification. So I click that one. I want that align left, and then I'm just going to drag it here, and then just move it here, put one here. Change the leader location. Just tidy up your annotation. Okay. So basically, that's how you create the text. So anyway, if you want to create a new type of text, so let's say you want to make it a little bigger, or let's say you want to have an annotation or text that is a little smaller than your current text, so you can just create a new one. So you just click the text again, and then if you click the drop down arrow here, the type selector, so I have here 1/4, I have here 3/32" Arial. So if you want to create a new one, so just select edit type here, and then you just duplicate that, okay, and then just put the name here. So let's say, for example, I want 1/2 of an inch Arial or whatever font that you want. All right, so just select OK, and then you just specify the font that you want. So in my case, I selected Arial, and then you can change here the text size. Okay, so 1/2, enter. Okay, and then you have an option if you want that to be bold, italic, underline, or you can specify the width factor. You can specify the color. You can make the line weight here, the background here, etc., etc. So after that, you just select OK, and there you go. So you just created a new type of text. Okay, so that's how you create your text. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to open my level 2 HVAC plan view, double click that, and then I'm going to add text and tags to my model view. So what I'm going to do is, let me just zoom into this area here. So I'm going to put some tags here. Okay, so to add tags, I'm going to select the tag by category here. You can type TG. Again, the reason why your tag by category tool is placed on your quick access toolbar because you use this most of the time. But you can actually find it here on the annotate tab, and then you can find the tag by category. Okay, so now I'm going to select tag by category. And then you have an option here. So there's an options here on the options bar. So you can uncheck the leader line if you do not want to have a leader, or just check if you want to have a leader line. So you also have an option here if you want to make it horizontal or vertical. So in my case, I'm just going to uncheck the leader line here. And then I'm now going to tag my air terminal. And there you go. So there is the tag. So I'm going to pick that to place the tag. So it depends on the family. So in my case, it shows here this detail. And then there's the volume, the airflow. Okay, so that's the airflow. So if you want to edit this tag, you just need to click that and then just select edit family. Okay, so if you want to modify the properties that your tag will going to be showing in your project. All right. Okay, so let me just add more tags. So you can click that and then right click, create similar. Okay, so aside from selecting the tag here again, so if you want to create another tag like this, so you can just click that, or you can type CS. Click, and then type CS. So CS stands for create similar. Or just click that and then right click, create similar. So it's the same. So just click that one and then let us add some more annotation or tag. So I pick one here. Okay, and I also want to place one here on my return. So click again. Okay, so you are basically placing a tag there. Okay, so aside from that, aside from doing it one by one, I'm going to select modify here. So I can go to the select modify to terminate the tag tool. So I can go to the annotate tab and then I can select here tag all. So it says here tag all, not tag. So it adds tags to multiple elements in one step. So instead of picking it one by one, so you can actually select tag all, and then from here, so you select the category that you want to use for tagging. So in my case, I want to tag my air terminal. So I'm gonna pick the air terminal here. What else? I also want to tag the space. Oh, I mean not the air terminal. So let me try the tags for duct. So I'm going to check the duct, and then I want to tag also the space. So I'm going to check that one. Okay, so now for the leader, I do not want to add a leader, so that's why I just leave it unchecked. So you will notice, so once I select here apply, okay, so orientation, okay, so it's horizontal. Okay, so let's select here apply, and then select here okay. So there you go. So there's now the tag of your space here. So now it's overlapping with my duct here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one, this space, and then just move here. There you go. There you go. Okay. So as you can see, there's the tags on my dock. There's the tag on the space. Again, you just make it tidy. Okay, so you just need to move the tags that is overlapping the elements. Okay, so that it's not too dirty, just like this one is too dirty. But then again, I'm not going to edit this one by one because it will take a lot of time for me to do that. So I'm just showing you how to use the tag all not tag. So aside from picking it one by one to tag your elements, you can do it one shot. Okay, by using tag all not tag. And then after that, just try to tidy up your drawing, like moving your space away from the elements and checking it if you have placed it nicely. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the text tool here. And then let me just add some text here. So I'll be using two segments. So let me just pick one here. And then I'll just pick, oops, so I want that to be straight. Sorry, I'm just going to undo it. Okay, so text. And then properties. I'm going to use again the T/32 inch. And then two segments. Okay, so let's pick here, one, and then two. All right, and then I'm just going to put here rectangular, and cap. There you go. And then just escape a couple of times, and then just tidy up your text. Okay, now if you want to modify your tag type, so let's say for example for the air terminal, so I'm going to select one of the air terminal here. So I'm going to select an air terminal tag, for example this one, and then I'm going to right click, and then there's an option here, select all instances. I'm going to select visible in all in views. Okay, so visible in views. So I select this one, so it will now select all the tags that you have in this floor plan. Okay, so as you can see, it's now all highlighted. Okay, and then from here you can change the type. Okay, so you can click the drop down arrow. So let's say you can use diffuser tag type name. So you can select that one, and let's see, there you go. As you can see, it's now updated. Okay, so basically that's how you select an element within the view, in your current view, and then change the type, okay, from the type selector. Right, so that's how you add some text and tags in Revit. Okay, now for the next topic that we are going to talk about is we're going to place some dimensions in our model. So we are now on dimensioning. So let's do this in our exercise here. Okay, so let's say for example I have this floor plan. So let us just put a dimension here. So we're going to place dimensions for the fixtures. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to select align dimension. So let's select this one. Actually, even if you do not select the tool align dimension, you can also select the elements in your model to generate the dimension. Okay, so like for example, I'm going to show you that before this one. So let's say I'm going to select this lavatory here. So let's say this one. I'm going to click this, and then you will see some temporary dimension. So this is temporary dimension because if you're going to click outside, it will disappear, right? Because it's a temporary dimension. So I'm going to select again this lavatory. Okay, and then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the distance here. I'm going to make that 2 feet. So I'm just going to type 2 and then enter. So there you go. So you are able to change the distance of your lavatory by just simply changing the value of your temporary dimension. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make that temporary dimension permanent. So again, I'm going to select this lavatory, and then you see this icon here. It says make temporary or make this temporary dimension permanent. So you can click that, and there you go. You just click outside. It will now turn that temporary dimension to permanent. So let me just deselect the select links here because it always highlights when I click the link. I do not want that to happen. Right. Now, so I'm going to click this dimension that I have created. So let's say I'm just going to place it here. So you can drag that. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it. So I'm going to click that one, and then you can lock. Okay, so you can lock that so that it will not change the dimension of your lavatory from this wall here. You cannot change it. Okay, you see, you cannot drag because it's locked. Right, so that's the use of lock. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one. And then as you can see here from the options bar, so there is an option here like prefer. So there's the wall faces, and then wall center line, and then you have the center of core, and then faces of core. So that is the justification of your dimension to your wall. So in my case, I want my dimension to be at the face of my wall. So I want to use the wall faces. Okay, and also there is an option here, witness lines. So again, if you're going to select your dimension, so there's the witness line. So there is edit witness lines. So just click that one. So let's try this one out. So let's click that. So as you can see, it will continue now the dimension. So let's say I want to place one here. Click that. Okay, and then I'm going to add more dimension here. There you go. Okay, so you get the idea. So you just need to place a dimension from here. Okay, so I'm going to click another one here. Okay, and then after that, you can select your modify. Oops, sorry. So it shouldn't be like that. So select again. So edit witness line. So let's click. You need to click outside, not select modify. Once you're done, just click outside. Do not click any elements or just click at the blank space to finish up your dimensioning. And there you go. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select again the dimension here. So let's select edit witness to add the dimension between the water closet here to the wall below. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this space here. Okay, so I'll just click that one, and then I'll just click again on the blank space here. So basically, that's how you terminate placing your dimension. Okay, so aside from doing it manually by selecting align dimension, okay, so you can also do this. Okay, you can also do that just like that. Okay, just like you're doing in AutoCAD. So you can do dimensioning like this, aside from the way I created our first sets of dimensions. So anyway, I'm just going to cancel this one. So by the way, once you're done, again, just click outside to place that. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this one. All right. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is let us try to change the dimension. So let's change the dimension. So I'm going to select my water closet here. So let's try to edit the dimension here. Okay, the dimension that we have placed. So I'm going to select. You cannot double click this one. You cannot do that because you can just override it, replace it with text, or you can put a text field above, below that dimension. So if you want to change the distance or the value of your dimension, not just simply overriding it, do not click and then click again, because it will just let you to replace your dimension with text or place above text, prefix, suffix, or below. It will not be able, you will not be able to change the actual value. So if you really want to change the dimension or the distance of your water closet, so you need to select the element. So in our case, the water closet. So you need to select the family, so the plumbing fixture. So I'm going to select that one. And then you will notice that it will become somehow temporary dimension again. So on that instance, you can now click that dimension. There you go. And then you can type now the distance that you want. So let's say I want 1 foot and 6 inches. So I'm going to type 1 space 6. So Revit will read it as 1 foot 6 inches. So I'm going to press enter. Okay. What happened? So I'll just remove the constraint first so that it will follow. So I remember I locked the dimension a while ago. It shouldn't be like this. So let me just cancel this one out. So let me select this one. Okay, so we have a lock dimension there. Okay, so I'll select this, change this one, 1 space 6 inches, enter. So I'll just remove the constraint. Okay, so I click this. There you go. So it's now 1 foot 6 inches. Okay, so that's how you change it. So you just select and then you just change the dimension here. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do is let us try to do that as well here. So I'm going to select this, and then after that, let us change the value here. So let's say I want this to be 5 foot, and then enter. There you go. So I'll just remove the constraints that I have here on the other side. So just remove that. So there you go. So it's now changed to 5 foot. Okay, so let us try to do that on the dimension here as well. So I select this one, and then I select this. So let's say I want this to be 3 feet, enter. There you go. And then this one I select, and then I change, oops, I select this one, and then I'll change this. So let's say 3 feet space 6 inches, enter. There you go. So that's what I would like for that dimension. Okay, so now as for this model that we have here, so maybe just to tidy it up, I'm just going to use align here. So I select modify, align. So I select this line here, and then let me just align this one. Okay, so same with this. Let's align that to tidy up. Okay, there you go. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select again the dimension string that I have here, and then I'm going to lock this one. Okay, so I'm going to lock that except for this one. So I'm going to lock the rest. Okay, so meaning to say this dimensions here is locked now to that dimension except for this one. Okay, so except for this one. So basically you can also do that one. Okay. Right, now if you want to do it manually as well, another way is the one that I have shown you a while ago. Just click the dimensioning tool here, and then, yeah, it's up to you. How do you want to place your dimension? So you can do it like this, or you can also do it the way I did it first, just now. You can do this procedure also. Okay, again, if you want to create a new type of dimension, so you can just select that, and then just select edit type. Same way you created the text type. So just edit type, duplicate it, change the name, and then just put the properties that you want here, and then after that, you can select OK. So it's just the same way you created the text type, all right? Okay, so basically that's how you place your dimension. Now the next thing that we are going to learn is we are going to create legend. Okay, so the legend here is not automatic, so you need to create it manually. Okay, I know you are so disappointed in legend, in Revit, but that's really how it works. So you really need to do it manually. Okay, so let's try to create a legend. So after we have learned how to place dimension, how to place tags and text, so let us learn how to create legend. Okay. Right, so to create legend, so what you need to do is you need to go to the project browser, and then you can see there's the legends there. So you just need to right click that and then just select new legend. Okay, so just select that one and then select new legend. Right, and now for the name here, so let's say we are going to create an HVAC legend, so HVAC legend. Okay, and then for the scale, so let us just use the default scale, and then after that just select here OK. Okay, so we just created now our legend, so let us just expand this, expand. Oh, this one, sorry, yes. So there's our legend. So let us now add some details to our legend. So like what I have said earlier, legend in Revit is quite manual. So when you create that, okay? So let's do this. So let's add some text. So I select the text here. And then after that, so from the properties, I want to create a new type of text. So I select edit type. Let's duplicate this. And then after that, so let's put the text. So let's say I want 3/16 inch Arial, okay? And then okay. And then again, let's change the text size here to 3/16, enter. And then I want that to be bold. And then I want that to be underlined. Right? Okay, and then after that, select OK. I do not want to have a leader line, so I select no leader, and then let us now pick. Right, so let's zoom in. So I'm just going to type here HVAC legend. Okay, and then select modify. So now that we have created our title, so we are now going to add annotation symbols, notes, and model elements. Okay, so to do that, you need to go to the annotate tab, and then there's the component, and then there's the legend component. So let's click the legend component. Okay, and then we are going to use this one. So you can change the type here from the drop down arrow, and then you can select here the legend that you want, or the family that you want to be included to your legend. Okay, so in my case, I'll be using this one, the supply diffuser. So I'm just going to place one here, and then after placing one, so let's click this and let's look for another air terminal. So let's say I'm looking for a return diffuser. So I have the return diffuser 24x24 phase 12x12 connection. So I select this one, and then let us place here. So there you go. So I'm going to place another one. So let's say an exhaust grill. So let's look for that. Okay, so I'll select this one, and then let's place one here. Okay, and then let us put another air terminal. So let's say side grill. I think we have a side grill, side wall here. So I use this one 18x8 side wall, and then I'm just going to place it here. Okay, and then I select here modify. Now if you want to tidy up, so let's just align it. So let's go to modify, align. Let's see. Okay, so it doesn't allow us to align. So basically what I can do is I can just drag. I can select the elements and then just drag just to align it. Okay, there you go. So you get the idea, right? Just align there. Oops. Okay, so let me just put it away and then drag again. For some reason it's not aligning. Oh, there you go. All right. Okay, so for this one, so just put one here. Okay, and then let us add more symbol. Okay, so I'm going to go back again to annotate, and then there's a symbol here. So let's add symbol. Okay, so let's click the drop down arrow, and then let's look for a symbol for, let's say, supply. So there's supply here. Mm, okay, tag diffuser. Okay, so there's a diffuser tag. So I select this one, and then I'm just going to place one here, and then modify. Okay, and then the next thing that we are going to do is let us add some text. Okay, so let's add text to our model here. So I'm just going to place one here. So let's select the text tool. So we'll be using 3/32 inch. So let's click that. Let's place one here. Okay, so I call this supply diffuser. Okay, then I'm going to place one here. So this is our return diffuser. Okay, and then this is our exhaust grill. Exhaust grill, and then I have a sidewall supply diffuser. All right. Okay. Now what I want to do is I select this. I'll just change the justification to left, 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 left. Okay, and then let's just tidy up this. There you go. There you go. Okay, and then let us add some more dimensions or details here. So I select the text, two segments. So let me add a detail here. So let's say this will going to be the diffuser type designation. Okay. Okay, and then I have one here like pointing to this. So that is diffuser size example 24 by 24 diffuser with a 10 inches diameter neck. Okay, and then just click outside. Okay, again, let us just tidy up this. So let's select this, change the justification to right. There you go. About top, pointing there. Okay, so it's right. There you go. Just tidy it up. Okay, and then for the air quantity here, so let's put the text. Okay, so that's air quantity. Okay, so air quantity. There you go. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is let us now add some lines. So let's add the outside frame. Okay, so let's add the outside frame. So I'm going to select a detail line here. So I select the detail line, and then from the line style, I'll be using wide lines, and then I'll use rectangle here. So I'm going to pick here, and there you go, and then modify. Okay, and then again, you can just arrange this one. So let's select this. Let's tidy it up. Okay, here. There you go. Let's select this. So maybe like this. Okay, and oops, let's copy this. Okay, so this is going to be our diffuser tag. All right, and then let's create another detail lines, detail line. So let's change that to medium. So do we have a medium here? So there's the medium lines. All right, so let's place one here. Let's place one here. Okay, so we can fix that lines, overlapping lines later on. So let me just place this one first. There you go. So let me just put it here. Now maybe I can just resize this. Then select this guys here. Then let's move this. Let's just fix. Let's move it up. Let's point it there. So as much as possible, make it tidy so that it's nice when you print it. Okay, air quantity. And there you go. Okay, of course you can just, oops, change that sizes. Okay, so you get the idea. Just what I'm trying to say is just tidy up your legend. Okay, so if it is too big, there you go. Anyway, there you go. So that's how you create your legend. So you need to do it manually. So I know you guys are disappointed, but this is how you create legend in Revit. Okay, and then you see now your legend here. So you can insert this to several sheets if you want. Okay, so you don't need to duplicate. So let's say you want to put HVAC legend in every sheet. You can do that by simply dragging this legend inside the sheets. All right. Okay, so that's how you create your legend. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is let us create a schedule. Okay, so let's create a schedule. So let's say we are going to create a lighting fixture schedule. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. So we're going to create and modify a lighting fixture schedule. Okay, so far we have learned how to create and place text and tags, how to place dimensions, and then how to create a legend. And then this time, so let us learn how to create our schedule. Okay, so specifically how to create and modify a lighting fixture schedule. Okay, so to do that, so let's start creating a schedule. So how to create a schedule? So from the project browser, so there's the schedules here. So just right click that, and then you can now see here, new schedule quantities. So just click that one, and then after that, so let's look for lighting fixtures from the category here. So you can click one and then type L, and then look for lighting fixture. And then you can specify the name here. Okay, so you can put the name here, and then after that select OK. So make sure schedule building components is selected, and then under the new construction phase, and then just select OK. There you go. So now here on your schedule properties, this is where you need to select now the fields first. These are the fields that you want to show on your schedule. So you can select from here. So let's say I want to show the type mark. Okay, so the type mark of my lighting fixture. So let's say I want to include the manufacturer. So I want to include the model. So let's say I want to include the lamp information. And then I want to put the electrical data. Okay, and then the description. So if you want to put description, so you want that to be in the schedule, so you just add it from there as well. Okay, so now the next thing that we are going to do is let us try to group this, sort and grouping. Okay, so that's the reason why you have a sorting and grouping here. So how do you want your schedule to be grouped? So let's say I want that to be grouped by type mark. So you can click the drop down arrow here, and then you can select type mark. So you click that one, and then you can uncheck itemize every instance. So we do not want to itemize every instance because it will going to be very long. Okay, so I'm going to show you how it will going to be look like if this is itemize every instance is checked. So I'm just going to leave it checked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select here OK, click that one. And then you will now see that your schedule now is very long because it's itemized. So if you have 100 type A's, 100 type B's, it will show you here 100. So if you have 1000 C, 1000 D, so it will show you here that particular number of fixture. But don't worry, in case you have done that, you can just always go to the properties, and then you can go to the sorting and grouping, click edit, and then you can just uncheck that. Okay, so let's uncheck this one, and then select OK. And there you now. There you go. Okay, and then of course you can just put the manufacturer here, and then the model, and then the description. Okay, so if you do that, no need for you to go to each of the lighting fixture in your model and then specify the manufacturer and then the model. Because any changes that you made here on your schedule, it will populate as well in the whole model. Okay, so if you put your manufacturer here, manufacturer, let's say for example, company A, and then enter. So the Revit will tell you this change will be applied to all elements of the type, of this type. Okay, so just select OK. And then if you want to see where's this type A, so just click that. You click this, any of this row, okay, or any of this column on the row A, and then you go to the highlighting model. You click that. So it's now highlighted here. Okay, so just select close if you see this window. So as you can see, it's now highlighted here. So all the type A's are highlighted. If you check the type property of that, and then move the slider down, you can now see that there's your manufacturer. And then if you put a model here, so let's say this is my model ABC, and then I select apply, it will apply now to this type of lighting fixture. I select OK. If I go back to the schedule, it's now updated. So I go back again to the schedule that I have created. So I double click that. So as you can see, it's now updated, right? So that's the power of scheduling in Revit. So this is a very important tool that you need to learn in Revit. So it's building information modeling. So it's the letter I in BIM, information. So any changes that you made here, any information that you put on your schedule, it will populate to the rest of the model. Okay, so no need to go to each lighting fixtures one by one because you can already do that on the lighting fixture schedule. Okay, and another thing that you can do in your schedule, you can filter it. Okay, so let us go to the properties. That's the reason why there's a filter there. So just select edit. Okay, so let's filter this. So let's say I want to filter this by not filter yet. So let's say I want to add fields. Okay, so I want to add fields. So let's say I want to include the count and then the level. So I want to include the level. So let's try that. Count and level, and then I select here OK. All right, so we're going to fix this one. Okay, so let us change this first. Let's change the name. I only want second floor. So second level 2 or second floor lighting fixture schedule. Okay, now we have added the count field and then the level field. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this to level 2. I only want second floor. So to do that, so let's go to the filter, and then on the filter, so let's filter it by level. Okay, that is equal to, guess what, level 2. Okay, so just select level 2, and then after that we can go to the format, and then we can select the count here, or I mean the level. So I'm going to select the level here, and then I'm just going to hide it. So I'm just going to hide this level here because it's already understood that we want second floor. So we do not want to show level 2 here once we finish this setting up on our schedule properties, because we already named it second floor. So no need for you to select here level 2 because it's already understood. So that's why what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the level here and hide that field. So we are going to hide this level. We're not going to remove this field, but we are just going to hide it. So that's why we select here hidden field for the level. So I just select OK, and there you go. Okay, so it's now filtered based on level 2 because on our filter here, we filter it based on level 2. So what if we're not going to hide that level? Okay, I'm going to uncheck this. Okay, so it will show you here level 2. So you don't need to show this because you're already saying here that you're creating a second floor lighting fixture schedule, right? Okay, but you do not remove this because you are using this to your filter. That is the reason why we just need to hide that. Okay, so hide that field and then OK. Okay, and then you can also add a description here. Okay, so let's say for example, I want to add for type mark A, so I want to put here 2 by 2. So let's say what's this? Recess, parabolic, and then enter. So again, it will apply to all elements of that particular type, and then select OK. All right. Okay, you can actually explore these tools here, these options that you have here if you have time. So basically, that's how you create your schedule. Okay, so in this video, we have learned how to add text and tags. We have learned how to add dimension. We have learned how to create a legend, and then we have learned how to create your schedule. Okay, so that's it for this video. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any comments, questions, so you can just put it on the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So this is the whole topic for our annotations and schedule. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. In this video, we are now going to discuss our last topic for this Revit MEP 2021 lesson. Okay, so in this video, we are going to discuss the construction documentation. So like we're going to learn how to work on title blocks and then on the sheets. Okay, so in this exercise, we're going to add a title block to our sheet, and then we're going to update the project information of the title block, and then I'm going to show you also the basic way of editing the title block. Okay, so let's say for example, you already completed your design work on the office building. Now you need to create a sheet for model views, such as let's say the second floor lighting plan, north level lighting plan, and power plan views. And in addition, we're going to specify the project related information in our sheet. So this is going to be a very simple video. So I'm just going to give you an idea on how to work with title blocks. Okay, so let's create and update a title block. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open here the project browser. I'm going to open E201 unnamed. So as you can see, it's already created. So don't worry, I'm going to show you how to create later on. So I'm going to open now the E201 unnamed. So as you can see here, the level 2 lighting plan view has been placed on this sheet by dragging it from the project browser. So if I'm going to expand this, you can see your level 2 lighting plan, which is this one. So we just simply drag and drop that here to this sheet. Just drag and drop. Okay. All right. So that's how you insert it. So now the next thing that we are going to do is I'm going to change the properties of my title block. So I'm going to zoom in here, and then for the title, so let's say I'm going to call this second floor lighting plan. Enter. Okay. Right. And then let's say for the owner, I'm just going to type in here River City, and then for the project name, I'm going to call this office building. Okay. Right. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new sheet. Okay. So I'm going to create a new sheet. So to create a new sheet, so all you have to do is to right click the sheets here. Just right click that, and then you just select new sheet. Another way to do that is just go to the view tab, and then from here just click that icon sheet. Okay, to create a new sheet. Right. So I'm used to right-clicking the sheets here from the project browser and then selecting new sheet. Okay, so select that one, and then you just need to select the title block that is loaded in your project. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to select new here for the placeholder, and then I just select OK. Now the next thing that I'm going to show you is how to modify the project information. So aside from changing it here from the title block, so you can also go to the Manage tab, and then after that, there's the project information. So you can click that one, and then you now open the project information dialog box. Okay, and then for the client name here, you will notice that it's already updated because any changes that you made on your title block to the project information, it will update also the project information dialog box here. Okay, so let's say for example, the current date is, I'm going to put the date here. So the current date is December 23, 2020. Okay, enter. Right, and then for the project status, so it says now it's client review, so that's fine with me. Now for the project number, so I just put the project number here. So let's say the year, and then let's say -17. Okay, so that's the project number. Okay, so you can also include the address here if you want. If you know the address of the company or your client, you just need to put here, and then you can click the ellipsis button. Okay, so that is what you do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select here OK. Right, so as you can see, it's now updated here. Oh, I think the date that I have placed there is quite too long, so that's why it's now it looks like this. Okay, so instead of going back to the project information, you can actually change it from here. So just click that one and then just change it. So let's say I'm just going to do it by the day. So let's say the date today is 23 dash the month 12 and then the year. Okay, so that's the format. All right, and now for the name here, so I'm going to put the name here. So let's say what I want to insert in this title block is the first floor power. Okay, so first floor power plan. Enter. Okay, and then for the E302, I'm going to change this one. So instead of E302, I'm going to make it E4.01, and then enter. Okay, so that's going to be the number of my project title block. Now, after setting up my title block here, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm now going to drag and drop the first floor power plan, which is this one, the level 1 power plan. So how to insert a sheet inside the title block? You just simply drag and drop there. Okay, and then after that, so there you go, just click. Okay, so left click to place your sheet there. Okay, or the floor plan. Sorry. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the title block family. Because as you can see here, my title block here, I have a default here. I have a default properties here, so I want to include the address of my client here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the title block. Okay, and then after that, so there is a mode panel here. There's the edit family. So just click the edit family, and then it will open up the family editor. So this is the family editor where you created your title block. So from here you can edit now. So let's say I'm gonna delete this. Okay, so I'm gonna delete these things here, and then I'm gonna put here, let's say the address or the property. Let's say I'm gonna put here MEP engineering. Enter. So let's say 123 Main Street. Enter. River City 1A, enter, and then let's say the telephone number 1-800 123-4567, something like that, and then just click outside, and then we can just resize this one. There you go. Okay, so let's say that's the information that I want to be included to my title block. Okay, again, if you want to modify this one, if you want to put the company logo, so you can just remove this, and then you can go to insert, and then you can import an image here, and then you can just change that one, and then you can put the email address of your company here or the website. All right. Now, anyways, after editing your title block, okay, so the next thing that you need to do is to load that into the project. So just select load into project, and then you just select the project where you want to load this title block. So in our case, I'm going to load it here because I also have other Revit project open, but I just need to select where I want that to be loaded, which is here. So I'm going to select OK. And then Revit will ask you, you're trying to load the title block, which already exists in this project, so what do you want to do? So I'm just going to override the existing version and its parameter values. So just click that one, and then you will now see it's now updated. Okay? Right. So basically, that's how you work on the title block. It's not a very difficult task to do. So as long as you already have the project model, so it's not difficult for you to work on the title block. The title block, most of the time, the company has their own title block, and on their project template, it's already loaded. So you just need to use that title block, and then you just put the floor plans or any views that you want to be placed on the title block. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is let us try to work on with our sheets. So after learning the basic of our title block, so let us try to work with our sheets. So I have an exercise file for that, which is this one. Again, if you want to have this exercise file, you can just comment in this video, and then you can just put your email address. Okay, so if you would like, you can also give this video a thumbs up, like, you can comment, share, or you can also subscribe, okay, so that you will be notified when I created next video. Don't forget to click the bell button. So anyway, in this exercise, after learning the basic stuff of title blocks, in this exercise, we're going to create a sheet and modify its view properties. And then we are going to place a plan view and a section view on our sheet and specify the print option if you want to print it. Okay, so let's try this one out. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is let's create a sheet and modify its view property. So you know already how to create a sheet, right? You just need to right click the sheets here and then select new sheet. Okay, and then from the new sheet dialog box, you just need to select the title block here, which is this one. Okay, and then just select OK. So the new sheet is added now to our project browser, and then as you can see, that is now our active view. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to right click the, let's say, level 2 HVAC plan. So I'm going to right click this, and then I'm going to duplicate this. So I already teach you how to duplicate a view. Okay, so no need for us to review this one. So this is just a review, so no need for me to discuss this whole topic again. So I'm going to duplicate the level 2 HVAC plan with duplicate with detailing option. So I just click that one. Okay, and then all right, there you go. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this one. So let's rename this. So let's say just select rename. Just right click the view, the duplicated view, and then rename. Okay, so I'm going to call this North Level 2 HVAC Plan because I only want to make this to show the north part of this building. Okay, so that's why I call it north. So I only want to show in this view the north part. Okay, so after renaming that, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to crop this view. Since I called it north, I'm going to crop that to show only the northern part of this view. Okay, so to do that, so I just need to turn on here show crop region from the view control bar. So you just click that icon there. So it will show you the crop region. And also make sure this is turned on. So in my case, it's already turned on. Because if this is off, you can see that there's an X there. See, there's an X meaning it's turned off. So you just need to click that to turn it on. Just like that, okay? And then I'm going to click now the boundary here, the crop region. And then I'm going to crop this. Okay? So I'm going to crop like that. Okay, and then I'm going to move it from here, there, just cropping. And as you can see, there are some annotations outside that is not being cropped. Okay, because this boundary here only crops the model elements or the 3D elements, not the annotation. Now, if you want the annotations to be cropped as well so that it looks tidy without any other text around or annotations around the view, so what you can do is you can go to the properties, move the slider down, and then make sure the annotation crop here is checked. So as you can see, currently it's unchecked. So you just need to check that one out. And there you go. So it's not cropped. So if I'm going to click now the boundary, this is the line here, or the boundary, this square here, the square rectangular solid line. This is what crops the model elements. Now the outer lines here, the dashed rectangular lines, so this is the annotation crop. So any annotation, text, tags, dimension that touches this annotation crop or outside the annotation crop, it will be cropped out from the view. Okay, right. And then after that, if you want, you can hide now the boundary here, the crop region. You just hide the crop region so that it looks like this. So this is the view that we want to insert on the sheet that we have created a while ago, which is the M101 unnamed. So I'm going to activate this view. Just double click that one, and then I'm going to drag and drop my North Level 2 HVAC plan. Okay, so just drag and drop to place it, and then just click to place. Okay, so there you go. Now as you can see, it's quite small. The scale is small here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the viewport. Okay, so if you want to click the viewport, just click that view. Okay, so as you can see, on the modify viewports here. So you can activate the view if you want to go inside the view. So no need for you to go to the North Level 2 HVAC plan. If you want to edit the view, just double click inside or select activate view after you select the viewport. Okay, or just double click inside, and there you go. So you are now inside the view, as if you already double click level 2, North Level 2 HVAC plan, but you are still on the title block or on the sheet. But if you double click it, so you are now editing the view. So now for this one, I'm going to change the scale because it's too small. So I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to go ahead and select 1/4 inch to 1 foot scale. So I click that, and there you go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate the viewport by right-clicking and selecting deactivate view, so that you are now back again on the sheet view. So now I'm going to click the viewport once, and then I'm going to drag that again just to rearrange it. Okay, and then there you go. Oh, you can click the title bar here separately from the viewport. Just click this, and then you can use the arrow on your keyboard, left and right, up and down, to tidy up your title bar, or you can just click that and then drag. Okay. Now if you want to resize the line of your title bar, so what you need to do is to click the viewport again, click once, and then you can now click that blue dot there to adjust the title bar. And there you have it. Okay, so that's how you place it. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to place a section views on our sheet. So I'm going to create a new sheet here. So let's create a new one. Oh, by the way, let us change the name of our sheet here because we didn't change it. So let's change this one. So it's still unnamed. So just right click that and then rename. Okay, and then let's change the name. So this is what? So this is North Level 2 HVAC plan. Okay, then okay, there you go. So now let's create another sheet here. So just right click again and then select new sheet. All right, so select that one, then select OK. There you go. Okay, and then let us rename this one. All right, so right click, rename. Okay, so let's call this sections and details. Then OK. All right, and then let us now insert here a view from our project browser. So let's say the section 4. I'm going to drag and drop that. Drag and drop. There you go. So there's our section. So maybe I'm going to place it here. Okay, and then I'm going to drag and drop also the call out. So I'm going to drag and drop call out. So I'm going to place it here, and there you have it. All right. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do. So let's say you are now done on setting up your sheets. So you now want to print your project. Okay. So what you can do is you can go to the file, and then you can select there print. Okay. So you can print that. You can batch print. You can print preview or print setup. So let's say I'm just going to select here the print, and then I'll just print that PDF. No problem. And then after that, you can print the current view, or you can select a views or sheets. So let's say I want M102 and M101. So I can select views, sheets. Okay. By the way, if the printer is already set up to your company, if you click the drop down arrow here, you should be able to see that available for you to select. All right. Now I'm going to select this one, and then I'm going to uncheck the views. I only want to see the sheets. Uncheck the views, and there you go. So I want M101 and I want M102. Check that one, and then select OK. I don't want to save this one, so I just select no. And then if you want to combine these two sheets into a single file, so you can just click that one. Okay, and then just select OK. Oh, by the way, you can also go to the default here, setup. Just click that one, and then you can select the size that you want here. Okay, so it's the size, so it's A3 or whatever size is that. And then after that, center. I just want to fit that to page, and then OK, no, OK, and then it will now start to print. So let's say I just put it here on my documents. So this is my mechanical sheets underscore M101 and M102. Then OK, and there you go. So you just save to PDF your project. Where did I save that one? So mechanical sheets, and this is now your sheets here. Okay, in a single file, right? Okay. So there you go. So hopefully you learned something from this series of our videos. It's Revit MEP 2021. So once the Revit MEP 2022 is out, I'm going to create again another set of videos like this one. Okay, so that you will also be updated on what's new in 2022. So if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can put it on the comment section below. And once again, please don't forget to like my videos, subscribe, and share to your friends. So thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Bye bye.